What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Monday, everybody. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk Studios this morning. Hopefully you all had an absolutely fantastic weekend and you're ready to hit up a brand new work week here. What do we have first of all, appreciate you all tuning in however you may be tuning in from. If it's on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Available to stream up online at sportstalk1051.com. You got the app. You can download that, take it on the go. You got your Google and Alexa home devices. YouTube video stream up and rolling, Section 105. Chat room also up and rolling on the video stream. And that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line also up and rolling, 715-830-1912. What do we have on our game plan for us this morning? Let's give a little shout out to hockey right away. Badger women's hockey team, 9th national championship in team history after taking down Ohio State yesterday 3-2. So nine times, Ferris Bueller quote, but 9 national championships in program history. Mark Johnson and his program doing it again. Dare I say, when we talk about some of the most iconic, maybe best coaches of all time in the state of Wisconsin, regardless of if it's pro NFL, pro baseball, pro basketball, you got obviously D1 basketball, D1 football and such. But, man, if you had to kind of power rank Wisconsin coaches, college up to the pros, Mark Johnson, should he be number one on that list? What an insanely impressive resume. And just from a coaching perspective, then you add in his playing days too, and obviously, the 80 Olympics and such. Man, what a hockey career, what a hockey life for Mark Johnson, man. But super impressive. And then yesterday too, for the men's team, they make the dance, they make the tournaments. So they're going to be going up against Dartmouth coming up on Thursday. So not a bad day overall yesterday for a little Wisconsin hockey for the women's team, getting another national championship, and the men's team punching their ticket to the dance. So what else? Speaking of the dance and such, the Sweet 16 is set. How are your brackets looking? All right, how they looking right now in our post glass and mirror 715 Speaks poll question that we posted up last night? 66% of you saying trash them. Trash those brackets. Maybe a lot of you had Florida winning the whole darn thing. And if that's the case, yeah, you're probably in that category of trash it. Just went up actually to 70%. So, but nonetheless, how you feeling? All right, how you feeling? So, but looking at that Sweet 16, first of all, if we look at our Sports Talk bracket challenge, there's 2 people right now tied for first. And if you look at it, everybody can kind of look at the leaderboard and such. But right now, on that leaderboard is Bloomer Tony, and then my 8-year-old Hudson, again, in first place, tied for first place. C-Bomb is tied for second. We'll say this, though. Bloomer Tony, his national championship, he had Iowa State versus Florida. Did have Iowa State winning it, so Florida being out of it hurts. C-Bomb had Wisconsin in the national championship too. Obviously that hurts, but we'll see how it all plays out. But it's 3rd year in a row now, or we're entering after getting into Sweet 16, and my kid's beating me again, and my kid is beating a lot of people again. So there you have it. Not doesn't bother me at all or nothing like that. But you can check out where everybody's at on the leaderboard, and if you want if you're not on that first page of the leaderboard, just type your name in, and it'll tell you what place you're in. But still early, and it's everybody's ball game right now when it comes to this bracket challenge. So, but how how are your brackets looking? How is your bracket looking? If you didn't vote, let me know. All right, you can hit us up with a message on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or hit us up on the Section 105 Section 105 chats on our video stream. But you look at the Sweet 16. You look at that East region, and it pretty much is all chalk. The only quote upset, if you will, was St. John's over Kansas, but that was a buzzer beater shot. That one lived up to the hype. You got Duke taking on St. John's. Duke versus Rick Pitino and such, and then you got Michigan State versus UConn, which should be a fantastic game. And then you look at the South region. You've got Iowa with the upsets over Florida. We get a Big Ten matchup. Iowa taking on Nebraska, and Illinois taking on Houston. In the West, it's Arizona versus Arkansas. Texas continuing their run. They're going up against Purdue. So, and then in the Midwest, it's Michigan versus Alabama. And then Tennessee also with a little bit of a run here. Tennessee will be taking on Iowa State. So we'll talk some college hoops. Take a look at that and such. But what else do we have in the docket? Well, speaking of hoops, should also mention boys state basketball officially in the books, completed this weekend. So your state champs, Wisconsin Lutheran, Whitefish Bay, Racine St. Catharines, Milwaukee Juneau, and Reedsville are all your state champions. Bucks are also back in action tonight. It's going to be a late one, taking on the Clippers. So plenty of hoops chat coming your way. We are just days away, peeps, baseball fans, days away from the home opening day for the Milwaukee Brewers. Jacob Mizorowski is your opening day starter. Pat Murphy making that official. So the Miz getting the ball to open up this season for the Milwaukee Brewers. Looking at spring training schedule and such, you've got Reds today, Reds today, Reds tomorrow. And these are going to be at American Family Field, and then opening day on Thursday. So just a couple more spring training games, and then we're on to the main stuff. So we'll talk a lot of baseball leading up to Thursday's opening day and such. So, but the Miz getting the ball. With the Miz getting the opening day start, let's talk a little Jacob Mizorowski today too, all right? What's kind of the baseline expectation that you have for Jacob Mizorowski? Give me some bold predictions regarding Jacob Mizorowski this year. All right, give me some win predictions, ERA predictions. Do you think he's going to go back to the All-Star game this year? What do you think has got to be that baseline expectation for Mizorowski this year? All right, so we'll, again, talk plenty of baseball here with opening day just days away. So we got that on the docket. It is a VFW Post 305 best and worst from the weekend. You can make your picks, again, by hitting us up with a message, the best and worst from the weekend. What else do we got? We got some local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Florence. There, should have mentioned that when we went through the high school state stuff, but Justice Cleveland joining us in the 9 o'clock hour to do some local sports roundup. Again, brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. Also on the docket, we'll do a little Glory Days brought to you by Summer Jam. So that's we'll hit that up a little bit later on in the program too. So as you can tell, we've got a loaded game plan. So let's pitter patter. Let's get at her, shall we? We'll take our first break, and then the lead off, we'll talk some college hoops. We'll talk some baseball. We'll talk some college hockey. Lots to get to here this morning. So let's just jump right into it. All right, shall we? We'll take our first break, and then the lead off coming up after these quick words. Big thanks to the VFW Post 305 for letting us hang out for some Hoops Skip Day this last Friday. And a big thanks to everybody who stopped on out and hung out for a while and such. Always a great time at our good friends, the VFW Post 305. And if you're over looking for a spot to maybe grab a good meal or just a cold beverage or just hang out with a awesome environment, look no further than the VFW Post 305 located on Star Avenue. So, again, a big thanks to Donna and the entire crew over at the VFW. So, all right. Let's get things going. So, let me just kind of throw this out there. Badger hockey, let's give them a tip of the cap, right? Badger women's hockey, 9th national championship in program history. I mean, for crying out loud, you want to talk about an absolute program dynasty, whatever you want to call it, right there, baby. Another one after their 3-2 victory against Ohio State yesterday. Just throw it out there. It is Mark Johnson. Let's just talk about from a coaching standpoint. We know he's got a great background and such from his playing days and such, but just from a straight up coaching. Or maybe this is the best way to do it. Because maybe this is just the best way to do it. I don't know. But if you want to chime in and say, yeah, he's the best Wisconsin pro, college, whatever, Wisconsin coach of all time, that's perfect. I'm not going to argue with you. But if you want to do like a Mount Rushmore, all right, we like to do Mount Rushmores, right? They always generate a good little debate and topic and such. And everybody's got their own Mount Rushmore of various topics and such. But if you had to put together a Mount Rushmore of Wisconsin sports coaches, if you had to put together that Mount Rushmore, who's on it? All right. Who's on the Wisconsin sports Mount Rushmore coaches edition? You get 4 of them if you don't know your history for Mount Rushmore. You get 4. No honorable mentions. No, none of that, because we only got 4, and I'm going to hold you to just 4. Think about it for a hot minute and send me your picks. I've already got 2, but I'm having a internal debate in my head right now, trying to think about who the other 2 I would throw into there. And let's keep it to pro D1 college, okay? Because I don't want to get too far into the weeds here. So let's narrow the selection from pro sports to Division I college, okay? Let's keep it from there, because otherwise it might go all over the place. But make your picks, okay? You've got Brewers, you've got Bucks, you've got Packers, you've got the Badgers, you've got Marquette. You could throw in UW Milwaukee. You could throw in UW Green Bay with Division I stuff in there. All right? So think about it for a hot minute. Unless you already got your 4, you're like, oh, man, this is easy for me. It's so-and-so, it's so-and-so, and so-and-so, and so-and-so. And send it on over, okay? Should be a fun little... I'm just kind of curious to see where maybe does the majority always have a certain... I feel like there's probably going to be one coach on that list that's going to maybe get the most mentions and such. But hey, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But send your picks on over. Text it to us. Shoe Doctors Bullpen Line, 715-830-1912. But, I mean, you look at what this program has done in terms of, just sheer on dominance, right? Sheer dominance from the Badger women's hockey team. You look at the years of winning the national championship, going to the however you want to look at it. I mean, just the sheer dominance from this group, from this program over the years is just it's remarkable. You know, when you think about dominant college programs and just like not just like 1 year wonder dominant programs. I'm talking about like consistency, like consistently dominant. You know, I think about UConn women's basketball. I think about, you know, the Pat Summit basketball teams at Tennessee. Yeah, you know, you could go to football in Alabama if you want with the Nick Saban era. Maybe throw in a little bit of Georgia and such, but you're talking about 9 national championships in program history, and we're talking about like just, you know, like since the early 2000s, right? I mean, it's been, if you had to use one word to describe this program, like what would be, or you know, yeah, I mean, just the dynasty of it all and the dominance of it all. If you had to use like one word to describe it, what would that word be? You know what I mean? Domination, consistency, all the above. I mean, it's hard to just kind of maybe find one word to put that out there, but man. And yet, I will say this, sometimes, I don't know if it's just because maybe we take it for granted, but I feel like sometimes they maybe get a little bit lost in the shuffle in terms of praise, publicity, from Wisconsin fans. I'll throw that in there, from Wisconsin fans. I do feel like sometimes we maybe take it for granted a little bit, or, you know, it's like kind of forget about it a little bit. And I don't know if that's just because it's like rinse and repeat. But I mean, it's 2006, 2007, 2008, 2011, 2019, 2021, 2023, 2025, and 2026. All those years. In the last 20 years, 9 championships. It's just absolutely insane. What a remarkable run. An insanely great run. So, again, hit us up on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line with a text for your picks, or on the video stream. Those are the two options to send over your Mount Rushmore Wisconsin coaches of all time. We've got C-Bomb chiming in, Mark Johnson, Barry Alvarez, Vince Lombardi, and Mike Holmgren. We've got Jeremy saying Mark Johnson, Barry Alvarez, Bo Ryan, and Vince Lombardi. Tim says Lombardi, Alvarez, Bob Johnson, Mark Johnson. We've got another texter, don't have a name, but Lombardi, Mark Johnson, Al McGuire, going with a little Marquette, and Bo Ryan. So, give a little love to Marquette, right? And a little national championship over there, too. So, keep those coming. Should be good. I kind of want to see, again, who shows up the most in these picks. There's literally no right or wrong answer in this thing. All right, so get the brain juices flowing here a little bit this morning. Start to I know it's a Monday morning, probably all got a case of the Mondays and such, and it was just, you know, man, Saturday was a gorgeous weather and such. I'm not ready to hit up a brand new work week here, but here we go. This is how we get our brain juices flowing just a little bit. So think about those 4. And I'm curious. This is where I'll just kind of tell you. I'm curious, is like my prediction in this thing, is Lombardi going to be the one that's the most popular pick on there? And I'm not arguing it by any means. I'm not. I was just, that's the name I kind of figured would probably pop up the most. But Steve, I'm kind of curious on the Mike Holmgren one. Why Mike Holmgren? There, again, no right or wrong answer. Just, you know, maybe I'm just kind of curious. Why Mike Holmgren? Why does he get top 4 for you? All right. Continue to send those on over. by the way, got to also give a tip of the cap to Wisconsin men's hockey because they do make the dance. So they are dancing in the tournament. They'll be in action on Thursday going up against Dartmouth. So they are in the tournament as well. Be nothing sweeter than maybe a Wisconsin sweep of the national championships. But they are their regional's third seed. So they'll be taking on second-seeded Big Green. So the Big Green Machine over at Dartmouth. So Michigan State is the number 1 seed. They'll be taking on 4th-seeded UConn in the other regional semifinals. So the winners, if Wisconsin does win, they'll be in action on Saturday, Saturday the 28th. So, all right, let's take a quick break. I do want to talk some Brewers baseball coming up here with Mizorowski becoming the opening day starter. So let's talk some Mizorowski as we are just a few days away from the home opener for the Milwaukee Brewers. Let's set some expectations and let's have some bold predictions for Jacob Mizorowski this year. Entering his second year, be his first full, complete season for the Milwaukee Brewers. What should that realistic expectation be for one Jacob Mizorowski? Are you kind of keeping them in check a little bit? Are you just blowing the doors off of it where you're just going to have super high expectations? And how many wins do you think the Miz has for the Brew Crew this year? Do you think he gets back to the All-Star game this year? All right. Let me know as we get close to opening day on Thursday. Take a quick break. Back with plenty more coming up after these quick words. Accidents happen, but getting back on the road should not be stressful. At Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, you will find experienced technicians, quality craftsmanship, and service that you can trust. From collision repair and dent removal to full paint work and insurance coordination, they handle the details so you do not have to. They'll restore your vehicle the right way, safely, professionally, and with attention to every detail. When your vehicle needs extra care, choose a team that puts quality first. That's Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, our official Backyard Dreams partners. And don't forget, biggest fundraiser for Backyard Dreams, the golf outing, the Kasper Classic, is now up for signups. Same old deal, 2-person team at beautiful Lake Cali Golf Course. First Friday in August, August 7th. So if you just go to our website or go to 715store.com to sign up your 2-person team right now before it's too late, because they do go quick. Get those 2-person teams in for just $90 and such. So again, hit up our website or go to 715store.com to get your 2-person team in. You can choose between the 7:30 a.m. tee time, 10 a.m. tee time, or the 1 p.m. tee time. So I want to throw this little side question to our Wisconsin sports coaches, Mount Rushmore. A what if? What if, let's say, just for argument's sake here, okay? Just purely for argument's sake, what if Pat Murphy wins the World Series for the Milwaukee Brewers this year? Does he immediately vault up into top 4 with that one World Series win? Does he immediately jump in there? I mean, you're talking about, especially like this year, let's say. We're talking about a man that has gone back-to-back Manager of the Year awards. Let's say the Brewers pull this thing off and they win a World Series this year. Stop laughing for some of you. But let's just, for argument's sake, say they can pull this off. Does he immediately go up into the top 4? Does he immediately go on that Mount Rushmore? What say you? All right. I was just kind of curious. I was looking up some old pieces and such, because everybody does Mount Rushmores and such. And Gary D'Amato, now who's pretty much, just straight up golf and such, but he had a piece from 2015 for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. And I was just kind of, just Google stuff, and I was like, okay, Gary, we've had him on the program and such, and obviously been around the Wisconsin sports world and such, and he ranked the top 10 coaches in Wisconsin history. And number 1 was Lombardi. Number 2 was Al McGuire. Number 3 was Barry Alvarez. Number 4 was Mike Holmgren. Number 5 was Bo Ryan. 6, Mike McCarthy. 7, Don Nelson. 8, Larry Costello. 9, Dick Bennett. And 10, Keith Tozer. If you're like, who's that? Milwaukee Wave. All right. Also considered, he put in there, and there's some Division III coaches in here. Okay. Harvey Keene, George Baumberger, Phil Whitliff, Lance Leipold, Roger Herring, Ken Anderson, UW Eau Claire basketball. So throwing that one in there, a little Eau Claire representation and such in there. But for our argument's sake, for our Mount Rushmore, we're just kind of taking a look at Division I up to the pros. So continue to send those on over if you'd like. Play along with us. Have a little fun. All right. 715-830-1912 or on the Section 105 chat on the YouTube page. Before we get to some Brewers talk and such, probably save that for just past 7 o'clock so I can get some more of your Jacob Mizrowski bold predictions and what's your baseline expectations for the young fireballer this upcoming season. Let's take a look at some of the brackets here. I think, C-Bomb, if you're listening, you might want to print off this leaderboard because this is probably the highest you will ever get for a basketball, pick, bracket challenge and such. But C-Bomb tied for second. Our first two, we got 2 individuals tied for first right now. That would be Bloomer Tony and My little guy Hudson right now tied for first, but it's anybody's ball game right now. Nothing's going to be decided after the first weekend of college basketball and such. But you can, if you're not on that first page of the leaderboard, you can just type your name in to the search leaders tab, and it'll tell you where you're at and such. So if you want to do it that way. So, but right now, also, if you do, you can do the 16-team bracket if you want to just kind of jump in and redo your bracket, if you will, and have a little fun and see if you can do better, maybe with your Sweet 16 bracket. And it's going to have that same option when we get to the Final Four and such. But you look at where the bracket is, and you got some nice Big Ten representation. I know Wisconsin's obviously not in it, and a lot of us are still, annoyed, frustrated, whatever word you want to use or phrase you want to use to describe it. But from a Big Ten perspective, you got a half dozen teams in the Final 16, so you got a little representation there. But in the East region, it's been pretty much chalk. Duke versus St. John's. We've got Michigan State versus UConn. You want to talk about some awesome storylines between those games. Duke and Rick Pitino. And then Michigan State, Tom Izzo, UConn, Hurley. So, those two matchups right now, just the headlines and the stories write themselves in that thing. Going on down to the South region, perhaps the biggest upset from the first weekend. You're looking at Iowa taking down the defending champs, Florida. So Iowa moving on to the Sweet 16. In their first year after Coach Fran, they're in the Sweet 16 as a 9 seed, and they're going to be going up against a Big Ten foe in Nebraska. Iowa versus Nebraska. It sounds like it should be a sweet college football matchup, but this is the matchup here for the Sweet 16. And really, Nebraska right now is just opening up as a 2.5-point favorite, even though that they're the better seed and such. Just a 2.5-point favorite here. So. And then on the bottom half, you've got Illinois taking on Houston. So there's a very good chance. We know one Big Ten team is at least going to advance to the Elite Eight. We could potentially have a Big Ten matchup in the Elite Eight to go to the Final Four. On the other side, if we're looking at the West here, it's Arizona versus Arkansas, and then Texas continuing their run, winning their play-in, winning their BYU matchup, defeating Gonzaga. So they will be taking on Purdue. So, it feels like one of those, I don't know if it's accurate, but it almost feels like every single year you got a play-in team that's like making this run to the Sweet 16 and such. So, but Purdue versus Texas then. And then if we look at the Midwest, it's Michigan versus Alabama, and then Tennessee taking on Iowa State, the Cyclones. So we've got a Big Ten team still alive in each region here. Is that something? We talk about it when it gets to like the college football playoff and such, but with no Badgers, with no Wisconsin left in the tournaments, and you look at the Sweet 16, and I kind of threw this out there, at the beginning of the tournament. Outside of Wisconsin, is there another team that you're maybe kind of rooting for or you're hitching your wagon to? Let's say if Wisconsin loses and such, would there be another team that you're kind of just like, I'm going to hitch my wagon to them and such? If you don't, do you kind of root for the Big Ten at that point? Do you just root for, Big Ten representation regardless of who it is? Or maybe there's a team that you don't want to win a national championship regardless that they're in the Big Ten or not? Is that like a Michigan? Maybe for some of you it's a Michigan State if that matters, or Illinois or whatever. But do you kind of just root for the Big Ten at that point? Like, let's go Big Ten. Let's have an all Big Ten Final Four. Let's go. Let's, Michigan State, Purdue, Michigan, and then a combination of Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska. And that's the thing here, too. It's like outside of maybe Nebraska, but, you're talking about long-term Big Ten teams in here. And Nebraska's been there a little bit, obviously, longer than the likes of a UCLA or a USC and such. But so, you're talking about like some OG members a little bit here with that too. So, but to me, like I think it's kind of cool. I think it bodes well for the conference, especially like when it's in basketball, because I still feel like the Big Ten, in terms of basketball respect and basketball representation, maybe still doesn't get a whole lot of love and appreciation because it's still, well, the Dukes, even the North Carolinas, and I think they've got some decisions at hand here with Huey Davis and whether they're going to make a change at head coach and such. It's still the SEC, right? It's those teams, and I still think there's a little bit of a knock against some of the perception about the Big Ten, even though, Michigan's had some good runs and they made the national title game a while ago against Louisville and that. And obviously Ohio State with the Greg Oden era and such. And Illinois made it against North Carolina in 2005 and obviously Wisconsin in 2015 and such. I still feel like it's like there's this perception or mindset from a lot of people that, oh, Big Ten, that's maybe some boring basketball and such. And no, it's not. It's not. I still feel like maybe it's just me, but I still feel like there's a little bit of that perception surrounding the Big Ten conference when it comes to basketball. But anywho, we got to take our final break for the first hour. We're cruising on through. Continue to set. Let's have a little fun. Get those brains working this early Monday morning, okay? Let's have a little fun with this. Who is on your Wisconsin sports coaches Mount Rushmore? From Division I on up to the pros. You can only pick 4. All right? You can only pick 4. Who you got on there? We're doing this in honor of Mark Johnson just getting another national championship. One more, and he'll have one for each digit, each finger. Is that 9? Just from a head coach, too. So, all right, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back to wrap up the first quarter, the first hour, coming up after these quick words. Looking for affordable, reliable auto parts? Well, then you need to start with the experts who know vehicles inside and out. At ASAP Used Auto Parts and Conrad's Auto Salvage, you'll find recycled parts that keep your vehicle running without breaking the bank. Engines, body, transmissions, hard-to-find components. If you need it, chances are they've got it. Their knowledgeable team helps you find the right part fast, saving you time and money. Whether you are a do-it-yourselfer, a repair shop, or just trying to extend the life of your ride, trust the local pros. ASAP Used Auto Parts and Conrad's Auto Salvage. From salvage to service, one name that you can trust. Let's do a little VFW post 305, best and worst from the weekend. What's the best? What's the worst from this past weekend? I'll just go. My bracket's not in bad shape, but I'm going to add it in. I know it's not necessarily from the weekend, but I'll just say like this again, Badger basketball falling on Thursday. Again, I know that technically wasn't the weekend there, but I'm going to throw that one in there because really that's kind of where I'm at with this thing. I really want to get to my best. And it's this story, and I was at doing some baseball evals for Little League yesterday, and had one of the coaches talk to me about this one. This kid named Jack Forrest. He is a freshman wrestler for Oklahoma State. He is the NCAA champion for his weight class, but it was just a few months ago he was wrestling in high school. Like he began the season as a high school wrestler and finishes as an NCAA champion. That is an awesome story. That is really cool. I mean, first of all, as a true freshman, but he was an early enrollment and obviously a rapid rise to the top and such. But reading a little bit more about it earlier this morning, he decided to skip the latter half of his senior year of high school and enroll early at Oklahoma State in January, and says he was able to quickly adjust to the high level of competition and win the national title. That is man. You want to talk about setting the bar really high in the early goings of your career and such, but man, that's such a cool story. Really cool story. So, to me, best of the weekend. Obviously, too, you've got Badger women's hockey picking up the ninth national champion. You throw that one into the pot here. You can throw men's hockey team clinching a spot here, too, but I'm going to be a little bit different and go that route. So, just, yeah, what a cool story. What a really cool story. So, looking at Wisconsin sports coaches, we're keeping it from a D1 up to the pros. Who would you put in your Mount Rushmore for Wisconsin coaches, head coaches, best all time? All right, keeping it from D1 to pro. I'll do one each hour for my Mount Rushmore, but I want yours. So, again, text them on over. Send them on over to the Section 105 YouTube chat and such. But since we opened up the hour talking about Mark Johnson and just the absolute domination dynasty that he has built with that women's hockey program, he's on the Mount Rushmore. So put him up. Put him up there. He's on my Mount Rushmore for my personal pick. But I want all of yours too, because then I'm going to see who gets the most votes, and then we're going to put them on the Mount Rushmore as decided by you, the listeners, a.k.a. the voters. So whoever gets mentioned the most in your picks, that is going to be the Sports Talk 105.1 Wisconsin Sports Coach Mount Rushmore. I'll tell you right now, the leaders are Lombardi, Mark Johnson, Barry Alvarez, and probably, we don't even have a 4 right now because it's kind of all over the place. But those are the top 3 choices: is Barry, Lombardi, and Mark Johnson, based off of the votes or the Mount Rushmores that I've gotten in so far. So your picks matter because at the end of the day today, I'm going to tabulate the votes. Who gets mentioned the most? And that is going to be the Sports Talk Mount Rushmore of coaches, as voted on by you, the listeners. So send those on over. But my first pick, my first selection in the Wisconsin Sports Coach Mount Rushmore draft, just because coming off of a 9th championship, I got to go with Mark Johnson on there. So doesn't mean I've got him number one. That's my first selection. Keep those coming, all right? Coming up next hour, I want to talk some Brewers as we are just a few days away from opening day. Hey, again, question I threw out. Do you think if Pat Murphy at the Brewers win the World Series this year, does he automatically get vaulted into that top 4? It's a simple yes or no. It's a simple question, doctor. Yes or no? Yay or nay? But we'll talk some Brewers with Jacob Mizorowski being named as the opening day starter for the home opener. I was going to say home opener, but it is opening day overall for the opening day on Thursday. So let's talk some more Miz. Let's talk some more Mizorowski. What are some bold predictions, or what are just some maybe normal predictions that you have for Jacob Mizorowski this season? And what do you think should be a realistic expectation for the young fireballer this year after last year, getting called up and then just the great start, gets to the All-Star game. It was just kind of a flurry of moves, right? It was just like what a moment, and then kind of fell off a little bit, but then bounced back nicely coming out of the pen in the postseason and such. So what do you think is a realistic expectation for the Miz entering his first full-on season in this starting rotation for the Brewers? Is it double-digit wins? Is it another All-Star appearance? Is that too high of an expectation for the kid? What do you think? So let's talk about Jacob Mizorowski. Let's talk some Brewers baseball and baseball in general. Coming up in the next hour with opening day just a couple of days away. So, but a few of you saying, yes, Murphy would immediately vault to the top of the list for that 4th spot on the Mount Rushmore of Wisconsin sports coaches. Build the statue right away if he gets that World Series championship, right? Build the statue right away. All right, shot clock's going to cut me off here in just a few seconds, so looking forward to reading some more Mount Rushmores on his thing. Again, there's no right or wrong answer on this. Just kind of a little fun topic for this Monday morning. All right, we got some news updates, and we'll be right back in just a couple minutes to kick off the second quarter. Stay around. We'll be right back. Second hour kicking off right now on this Monday morning, March 23rd. Just flying on through on this Monday morning. First quarter's in the books. Second quarter tips off right now. Big thanks for hanging out with us if you're already up and at it. Well, we spent the first hour talking some hockey, women's Badger hockey team with their 9th national championship in program history. Men's team clinching a spot in the tourney as well. Speaking of tourneys, how's your brackets looking? Majority of you saying trash it on our latest post-class Mirror 715 Speaks poll question. If you want to see where you're at in terms of the leaderboard and standings, you can go to sportstalk1051.com, click on that Fan Cave tab. And if you're not on that first page of the leaderboard, just type your name in and it'll pop up where you're at and such. So coming up, we're going to talk some Brewers here in just a skosh because we've got opening day in just a couple days. Thursday, few, however you want to describe it. But Thursday, opening day. And The Miz is the opening day starter. What are some realistic expectations and predictions, maybe some bold predictions that you have with Jacob Mizorowski? All right. Well, I want to know. Hit me up. 715-830-1912 is a quick message, or hang out in the Section 105 YouTube chat room. We've got some local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center coming up in the 9 o'clock hour when Justice Cleveland from WEAU 13 News will be joining us. So we've got that on the docket. If you have any more VFW post 305 best and worst from the weekend, send those on over too. Coming up next hour, we'll do a little Glory Days brought to you by Summer Jam here in Eau Claire. So we also have that on the docket. But with the opening day just a few days away, let's kind of take a look at some maybe predictions and such. And, well, MLB.com, first off, just kind of taking a look at it from a major league perspective. They asked their team writers the most important thing each team learned at camp, at spring training this year. What did Adam McCulvey, who covers the Brewers, pick for the Brew Crew? He said his pick was they are going to miss Freddie Peralta. Brandon Woodruff won't be ready for opening day. Quinn Priester is sidelined for a month or so. Kyle Harrison ended the spring managing a minor blister issue, and Logan Henderson was optioned down after being slowed by a sore elbow. Mizorowski will start opening day after making only 14 starts as a rookie. The Brewers love the promise of this young group of starting pitchers and think they'll once again be among MLB's best run prevention units. But they are already missing the stability provided by Peralta in recent years. Such is life in a small market where teams are constantly turning over established talent for young players with upside. The Brewers' recent track record suggests they will make it work. So that was Adam's pick for what the Brewers learned this season. What about some of the predictions in terms of this season's stat leaders all across Major League Baseball? Is there any love for the Brewers in terms of individual stat numbers? Not really. We'll just put it that way. Not really. And there's one of them that I'm a little bit like, really? You're not going to give them any love in that category? But so breaking it down by American League and National League. So again, this is from MLB.com. Okay. So they asked, their writers and such to predict the season stat leaders. Okay. And I guess I could go through American League and National League here, but American League, the vote, or the majority, they asked 57 MLB.com staff members to weigh in. For the American League for batting average, it was Bobby Witt Jr. Runner-up was Jacob Wilson. National League, Luis Ariz with the Giants, probably no big surprise. Runner-up, Bo Bichette with the Mets. There was no Milwaukee Brewer listed. Okay. Not even in the others receiving votes. Home runs, AL, Aaron Judge, no surprise. National League, Shohei Ohtani, no surprise. Was there any Brewers listed as others receiving votes? Yeah, no. Stolen bases, Chandler Simpson with the Rays for the AL. NL, Ellie De La Cruz. Okay, no surprise. This is where I thought maybe some Brewers should have gotten some mentions, like a Bryce Terang and such. He didn't get in the category of others receiving votes. Wasn't on there. That, to me, I disagree with. I think Terang, he may not be a league leader, but in terms of the National League, top 5. I think mark it down, pin it up, top 5. Yeah, he may have more power this year, but I think he's still going to be up there in terms of base stealing. ERA, National League, Paul Skeens, American League, was Tariq Skubal. Again, no surprise. No Brewers, again, listed in others receiving votes. Strikeouts, Garrett Groshette in the American League, Paul Skeens in the National League. Were there any Brewers? Yeah, no. Freddie Peralta, by the way, was listed in a couple of these as others receiving votes. Saves for the National League, Edwin Diaz with the Dodgers. Mason Miller was a runner-up. Others receiving votes. This one I don't know if I agree with you either. They do have a Brewer listed on here, but I don't think they got the right Brewer. They got Trevor McGill. And I think Uribe is going to be the guy that's going to get the most saves for the Brewers this year. That's just my opinion. But those were some of those Major League predictions from MLB.com's staff. So, Brewers-wise, since we are very close to the opening day, let's take a look at Adam McCulvey's latest opening day roster, potential opening day roster. Contreras, Sanchez at catcher, no surprise. Andrew Vaughn, Jake Bauers, first base, no surprise. Bryce Terang, second base, no surprise. Joey Ortiz, shortstop, no surprise. Luis over at third, no surprise. Jackson Chirio, Garrett Mitchell, Sal Frelick, Brandon Lockridge, outfielders. Again, no surprise with Blake Perkins being starting the season off at AAA. Christian Yelich is your DH. Utilities, David Hamilton. I think those are like locked, sealed, sign it, good. Starting pitchers, The Miz, Brandon Sproat, Chad Patrick, Kyle Harrison, and Brandon Woodruff. Uribe, McGill, Koenig, Zerpa, Anderson, Aaron Ashby, DL Hall, Easton McGee as the relief pitchers. I think I think how everything's kind of worked out, transpired, it's gone through this season, or this spring training season, with some of the injuries to Priester and Craig Yoho and Rob over there. I think that's kind of worked out that way. Rob Zastrinski. Why can't I say Rob's last name? I apologize. For whatever reason, we all have these words. Mine, there's a few of them. I cannot pronounce his last name. Zastrinski. Zastrinski. Oh my, don't ask me again. I can't say it. So, but yeah, I could definitely, I don't have any qualms about that opening day roster prediction. So, but let's go back to Mizorowski. Jacob Mizorowski. What are some of the baseline, realistic expectations you have for Mizorowski this year? He's entering his first full season as a Major League Baseball starter. What do you think are some predictions, some projections, and what do you think, okay, this has got to be a guy, maybe more from a personal number, but also from, all right, if the team wants to do some noise this year, Mizorowski's going to have to do this, or this is the numbers that he is going to have to go out there and do. What are those predictions or baseline expectations, goals, however you want to kind of word it. We're going to go through some of the projections that are out there in the analytics world and such. And we'll kind of see, do we agree with it? Do you think that's accurate? Et cetera, et cetera. So we'll go through that, but then let's come up with our own, okay? So give me your analysis. Give me your expertise. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll drop into that conversation while I work on pronouncing Rob's last name correctly. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these quick words. Hunting season will be here before you know it, and that preparation starts right now, people. At Tilden Gun, they know serious hunters don't wait until opening day to get ready. Whether you are gearing up for the upcoming spring turkey season or maybe planning ahead for fall, now's the time to make sure that your equipment is dialed in. From shotguns and rifles to optics, ammunition, and must-have accessories, Tilden Gun has the selection and expertise to help you step into the woods with confidence. Maybe it's time to upgrade your setup. Maybe it's time to set in that new optic, or maybe you're just stocking up so you're not scrambling later. Hey, turkey season demands precision, patience, and preparation. So stop on in to Tilden Gun and talk with the people who understand the hunt, because you know what? They live it too. Tilden Gun. Get ready now so that you're ready when it matters the most. All right. I think I've got it. Rob Zastrizny. Boom. Nailed it. Practice makes perfect. Anyways, moving on to a different Brewers pitcher here. So, Mizorowski. We're talking a little bit about Mizorowski because we are just a few days away from opening day, and he is the opening day starter. This is his first full season, part of the Brewers pitching's rotation. Last year, I call it the EKG type of season for him. Comes in, boom, on fire, high expectations, lives up to it, all-star, bada bing, bada boom, falls off a little bit dinged up. Comes back into the postseason out of the pen, boom, was awesome. And now he is a huge part of this team. And if the Brewers are going to win the division again, get back to the postseason, he has got to be a big reason that the Brewers are able to do that. I think that's fair to throw out there, right? Fair to assess. Fair to label on him. So, what is a realistic baseline expectation for him this year? And he's still young, and it's entering his first full season. Well, this is just a couple of projections for Jacob Mizorowski that are out there. Now, these are just projections, okay? I've got Fangraphs, I've got Baseball Reference, and I've got the Pacoda ones, okay? So, Baseball Reference. They've got Jacob Mizorowski with a 6-5 overall record, a 4.05 ERA, 91 innings pitched. So that's it. Not hitting the 100 mark for innings pitched. And I know projections tend to maybe go a little bit on the lower side of things here. Fangraphs for 2026, okay, projection. They've got him with 135 innings pitched and a 3.99 ERA. Now, they've got games started 24, games pitched 32. They don't have a win-loss record on here, which I'm okay with because, again, I think the win-loss record for starting pitchers and pitchers overall now is dampered a little bit and such. But looking at innings pitched, 135, much higher than what Baseball Reference has. ERA, 3.99, a little bit lower than what Baseball Reference has. What about Pacoda? What about the Pacoda rankings here when it comes to Jacob Mizorowski? They were a little bit lower for the Miz too. They've got him at 124 innings pitched. Starter two, you're looking at about, they broke it down to, and the other thing here is they've still got Brandon Woodruff pitching 126, 124 for Miz, 137 for Chad Patrick. But Miz is at about 4.8 innings per pitched. So, all right, you're seeing a little bit of a theme here, right? You're seeing some commonality with this one. So you're about a 4. You're about let's say 100 to 135. Pagoda's kind of split a little bit more towards the higher end of innings pitched and such. But overall, to me, the Baseball Reference innings pitched at what was it again? Let me bring it up here. 91. That is really low. And I think if outside of injuries, outside of major injuries or anything like that, I would think that's on the low side, and I'd be disappointed in that. Again, not assuming that there's any injuries. And we're talking about maybe, well, it's on the low side because of performance and play and such. So that one to me is pretty darn low. I want to at least see. I like that 135. Now, I don't think I want to, I'm not going to throw out a baseline expectation of like, okay, that dude's got to go out there and throw 200 innings. I'm not going to do that right away for his first full-on season because I think there's still a little bit of maybe some unknown surrounding him. Because I think we're still kind of holding our breath as maybe fans to say, hey, don't blow out that elbow. Don't blow out that elbow, please. I think that's just kind of the assumption that at some point it's going to happen. Hate to think that way, but it kind of feels like that with starting pitchers and Major League Baseball, or pitchers in Major League Baseball, especially dudes who throw triple digits like Jacob Misiorowski. But, I'm looking maybe – I'm going to go on the higher end. I say 130-some innings this year. I say an ERA. I'd like it to be sub-4. Now, it'd be awesome if he could have like a 2, like Paul Skeens throws out there and such. But I think 4 would be disappointing if we just kind of look at the ERA. I mean, I'd like a 3.5 at worst almost. If he could keep 3.5, low 3s, I think that's a huge win. And, you look at some of the other projections surrounding Jacob Misiorowski, and his name has been thrown out there as like, okay, maybe he's the next closest guy to have like that Paul Skeens rise, right? A young pitcher that comes in, throws hard, is almost unhittable, to go from like a rookie of the year to a Cy Young candidate. Who's the next pitcher that could potentially do that? Go from like rookie of the year candidate to a Cy Young winner. Misiorowski's name is a popular one out there, and it makes sense why Misiorowski's name would be thrown out there. I think the biggest thing that I would like to see from Misiorowski this year is just, again, the consistency. We know he throws hard. We know he can be a dominant pitcher. But can he have the consistency? Can he get that slider? Like, we know he throws an amazing fastball, but if he can really command his slider, and when that thing was on last year, you're throwing like a mid-90s slider, that's when he was like at his peak, when he was just out there dominating and making some batters look silly. Yeah, the high heats. Yeah, going, touching 99, 100, 101. Chicks dig the long ball, but, throwing some major heat too is pretty darn impressive. That's what gets fans excited. But then if you mix in that mid-90s slider with that thing, woo, that's when he becomes kind of unhittable. But can he command that? Can he have the consistency with that? And, yeah, he could be a little bit of a fireballer at times and a little bit erratic. And that's where it's like, can he – and not every pitcher is going to be perfect. Not every pitcher is going to be – every start, they're going to have their ups and downs. It's just not going to be their day. Or they just can't get that command or that control. It happens to every pitcher. But the great ones, the good ones, those become few far in between. If Miz can take that next step where, all right, where it's almost rare for him to have those off days, That's the next step. Can he do that this year, though? Or is that going to be, maybe a next year sort of thing or whatever it is? But take these steps. One, be more consistent. Limit those erratic type of games. Two, if he can get that slider, command-wise, where that's like his next up pitch where, you're blowing it by the guy, then you throw in that slider, boom, become unhittable that way. And I think a big key in this whole thing, and we saw it at points last year too, is having a guy like Contreras behind the dish to manage a lot of these younger pitchers. I think is just it's a value that doesn't get appreciated or recognized as much as it probably should. The Brewers are counting on a lot of these young guys to lead this group and to lead them back to the postseason. That is Miz. That is Patrick. That is Sproat. That is Harrison. And, the one guy that really has to work with them and really kind of has to manage them on the field is Contreras. So he is I think, a huge key to the overall success of this pitching unit, the starting staff, or even the bullpen. That sometimes, and it's everybody, but it's sometimes we just kind of take it maybe for granted, or we don't pay much attention to. But having a guy like Contreras behind the dish for a Miz, because we saw it last year at points where maybe the Miz was getting a little bit inside his head, and maybe it was affecting his pitching. And then you saw Contreras over there kind of handling it, trying to get him to calm down, dial it in a little bit more. Heck, Contreras was doing that with guys like Freddie Peralta and such. So it doesn't, to have that type of leader behind home plate, managing your pitching staff, I think is a huge, huge, huge bonus. Obviously, we know the Brewers do very well with pitchers, with Chris Hook and Henderson leading the charge with the coaching side of things. But having a guy like Contreras, and then, even your backup catcher is a veteran, Gary Sanchez, who's been around the block for a while. That's a huge bonus to have two veterans helping manage some of these younger pitchers. But I think, for me, for Miz, for a baseline expectation, baseline goal and such, I think, again, wins, losses, I don't really want to put, like, oh, the dude's got to have 10 wins this year. Because, for crying out loud, Paul Skeens like 500 last year. It's not his fault. So I kind of don't want to put a number on wins, losses, because I don't think that tells you the whole story anymore. But I think, let's get an ERA in the 3s. Let's get some innings pitched, $135 at minimum. And just the one metric that you can't really analyze and such, let's see how that slider goes. Can you command that slider at a high level this year and just have more consistency? And more times than not, when he's out there, you're feeling good. He's going to come away with a win. He's going to be pitching at a high level. The consistency overall from him. That's kind of what I want. And you can't really put a number on that or a projection stat on that. But there's no question. The Brewers want to do something this year. They want to get back to the postseason. They want to repeat as champs. A big part of that is going to be dependent on the play of Jacob Misiorowski. If he's hurt or he's just not pitching well this year, it might be a little bit of a tougher road. All right, we got to take a quick break. Send me some more picks, or send me your Mount Rushmore of Wisconsin coaches, best Wisconsin coaches of all time, Division I up to the pros. All right, because I want to see who gets mentioned the most, and based off of you, the listener, you, the voters, whoever gets mentioned the most, the top 4 will be named to the Sports Talk 105.1 Wisconsin Sports Coaching Mount Rushmore. We're looking at from Division I to the pros. Okay? So there's not a right or wrong answer. I want your picks. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back with plenty more coming up after these quick words. Looking for reliable auto service right here in the Chippewa Valley? Hey, you've got a couple options, and both of them are at AJM Automotive. Both of them? Yeah, both of them, because they've got 2 convenient locations in Eau Claire. AJM Automotive makes it easy to get the care that your vehicle deserves, whether it's routine maintenance, maybe some brake work, engine repairs, or you need a new set of tires. Friendly experts, honest advice, quality service that gets you back on the road safely. And don't forget, too, AJM Automotive does some small engine work. So think spring, think summer, maybe get those lawnmowers ready to go. So friendly experts, honest advice, quality service that gets you back on the road safely. Check them out online, ajmautomotiveservices.com. And don't forget to follow their Facebook page as well. We got Surveyor finally chiming in with his Mount Rushmore for Wisconsin picks. Mark Johnson, not even close. Vince Lombardi, Curly Lambeau, and Kelly Sheffield. I was wondering if anybody was going to pick both Lambeau and Sheffield, and Surveyor comes in with both of them. Says, I know I left off Barry, but I think he did more as athletic director than as coach. John says Lombardi, Barry Alvarez, Mark Johnson, and Bo Ryan. So I can tell you right now that the top 2 that are probably going to easily move on into our Sports Talk 105.1 Wisconsin Sports Coaching Mount Rushmore is probably Lombardi and Mark Johnson. We've got Mike, though, going Lombardi, Alvarez, Bo Ryan, and Holmgren. So no Mark Johnson on there. Give Murphy a few more years, and I feel it changes. So, all right, how about the rest of you? Keep them coming, because I'm going to tabulate them. So, honestly, right now, a lot of you, besides one now, have had both Lombardi and Mark Johnson in it. Lombardi now is the number 1 vote getter. Mark Johnson is a close second. And then I would say probably Bo Ryan, maybe getting third. I think it's too close to call at this point in time for the 3rd and 4th spots. I think it's too close to call. So I'm doing my picks 1 per hour. My first hour, I had Mark Johnson on mine. I mean, you're looking at 9 national championships, for crying out loud. I mean, that's you're talking like, you're comparing that to like a UConn run with girls basketball, women's basketball. You're talking about like a Pat Summitt run at Tennessee. You're talking like an Alabama football type of run and such. 9 national champ, 9 times. Mark Johnson was my first pick. Might as well just say my second one is Vince Lombardi, because I don't need to make the case for that. There you go. All right. So of the 4 spots on that Mount Rushmore for me, I've got Mark Johnson's face. I've got Vince Lombardi's face. The next 2, 3rd one, drop in the next hour. 4th one, I'll drop in the final hour too. But these are just my picks. My picks don't count towards your votes. You are the only ones who will get to decide the Sports Talk 105.1 Mount Rushmore of Wisconsin sports coaches of all time. And again, if you're just joining in, we are just looking for Division I on up to the pros. Just trying to narrow that field down. It's no disrespect to high school Division III or anything like that. We're just kind of narrowing it down to Division I and up to the pros for argument's sake for this morning. So continue to send me those via the Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or you can hit us up on the Section 105 video chat on YouTube. Going back to some more messages here with the Jacob Mizorowski chat that we just had. Projections, we've got Ben saying $1.30 for innings, 3.5 ERA, and double-digit wins. Another texter says, don't have a name, but says 150 innings, double-digit wins, 3 ERA. Nothing higher than a 3.5. All right. Keep sending those on over, too. We'll get back. We got plenty more Brewers chat. Start to think about, I'll just give you kind of an early heads up here, but start thinking about some season predictions for the Brewers coming up here. All right. with opening day right around the corner on Thursday, start to think about your not only Brewers predictions, but Major League Baseball predictions. Division winners, who you got going in the World Series, MVPs, all that good stuff, okay? So start to think about that for a little bit. We're not going to hit that up today, but that's kind of some early homework assignments. So put it in your assignment book and all that. But Brewers just have a couple of spring training games left, and then we're rocking and rolling for Thursday. Anybody going opening day, by the way? Anybody taking a day off maybe and heading down to Milwaukee for a little opening day? I was looking, okay, so is this could possibly, where does MLB.com rank their top 10 pitching staffs? Okay, so the Brewers come in at number 8. Maybe some interesting names ahead of them. So this was MLB.com ranking the top 10 pitching staffs in baseball. Number 1 is the Dodgers. Number 2 is the Mariners. Now, this is like starters and bench, it looks like. Number 3 is the Phillies. 4 is the Red Sox. 5 is the Tigers. 6, Pirates. Obviously led by Paul Skeens. You got Mitch Keller. You got Bubba. You got Braxton Ashcraft. Jared Jones. Oh, okay. Brewers do come in at number 8. Says, when assessing the Brewers pitching staff, we must weigh the departure of Freddie Peralta in trade against the knowledge that no matter who departs this team, it always seems to find a way to keep opponents from crossing home plate. Though Woodruff dealt with a lat issue and Priester a wrist issue in camp, they still confront what ought to be a strong rotation even without Peralta. You've got the Miz kid. All right, so anybody who doesn't like the Miz as a nickname, do you like the Miz kid? That's the first time I think I've seen that, the Miz kid. Mizorowski entering his first full season, and young Logan Henderson is widely touted as a breakout candidate. The bullpen, which was one of the best in Major League Baseball last year and his added ground ball machine Zerpa, projects as a top 5 unit going into 2026. Really, it's not about individual names, but the collective whole of a club that routinely develops quality pitching internally or identifies it externally. And being backed by an elite defense sure doesn't hurt either. So the Brew Crew belongs somewhere in the top 10. This might be a AJM Automotive Pump the Brakes Full Throttle question for Friday. But Pump the Brakes Full Throttle, is it fair to say that the Brewers bullpen right now, at least on paper, you have more confidence in, or it could be better than the starting pitching staff? Possibly. I don't know. I think you can make a case for that. All right. We'll take a quick break, and then we're wrapping up the second quarter, and we're already at halftime here on this Monday morning. So stick around. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Pain doesn't have to slow you down at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Their experienced team is focused on getting you back to doing what you love, whether that's competing on the field or staying active or simply moving without discomfort. From joint pain and sports injuries to advanced surgical and non-surgical treatments, they provide personalized care designed around you. Local experts, advanced techniques, real results. If pain is holding you back, take the next step towards recovery. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, helping you move better every single day. We got about 7 minutes left to the top of the hour. Then we have hit halftime here this morning. So coming up next hour, we'll do a little Glory Days brought to you by Summer Jam here in Eau Claire. Again, Glory Days, kind of taking a look at something, the phrase like, well, I'm back in the glory days of that sort of thing. Just kind of going down a little bit of memory lane, if you will. So we'll hit that up coming up next hour. We'll get back to some hockey, some hoops chat and such. But how's your brackets looking? You feeling good, or are you ready to trash it? Let me take a look at the updated poll here. Our Post-Class Amir 715 Speaks poll question. 66% of you who voted on our poll question from late last night and to this morning so far saying, trash it. You're done. You're ready to throw it away. I'm feeling good, guy. I know I'm not on the first page of the leaderboard of our Sports Talk bracket challenge, but I've got my Final Four still intact. I've got my national champion still intact. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good right now. So plenty of tourney time left to go here. But, we'll get back to that coming up next hour. We've got our Carpet City Flooring Center local sports roundup. Justice Cleveland, WEAU 13 News will be hopping on in the 9 o'clock hour. So we'll let the experts break it all down for us. I know we had the conclusion of the state high school boys basketball tournament this past weekend. Your state champions are Wisconsin Lutheran, Whitefish Bay, Racine St. Catharines, Milwaukee Juneau, and Reedsville, all your champs. So kind of on to some spring sports and such. So take an early look at that. We've got some blue gold stuff to kind of take a look at here as well. We got a little bit of a transition type of year. So, but we'll get to that in the 9 o'clock hour. Bucks-wise, they're not out of it yet, mathematically. They are in action tonight. It's going to be a late one, so if you're still following along and maybe hoping that they can go on a little bit of a run here, but the Bucks taking on the Clippers tonight, 9:30 time. Bucks did get a nice win against the Suns after a horrible loss to the Jazz, picking up a 108-105 victory over the Suns, but they're going up against the Clippers tonight. Bucks 29-41 so far on the season. When you look at where they're at in the standings, Bucks and Bulls tied right now. Bucks. They're the 11th seed, if you will, at this point. They're 29-41. Chicago's 28-42. But Charlotte, who just still won't lose. They're riding a 3-game winning streak right now. Bucks, time is not their friend right now. We'll just put it that way. All right, because currently where things stand, the Hornets are 7.5 games ahead of the Bucks. So they're not mathematically eliminated yet. You can say you're telling me there's a chance. Possibly, I guess, but that's about it. In the East, the Detroit Pistons have clinched a playoff spot. That is the only team so far that has clinched a playoff berth in the Eastern Conference. But it is really, really close to where we know the top 10 because of just the Bucks and the Bulls being the only two teams on the outside of the top 10 that haven't been mathematically eliminated yet, but they're close. It's going to be close here. On the Western Conference side of things, two teams have clinched playoff spots. That's OKC and that is San Antonio. Three teams who are currently on the outside of the top 10 have not been mathematically eliminated yet, but it's kind of in a similar fashion. It's getting close. But Pelicans, Memphis, and Dallas still not officially eliminated, but Dallas is 10 games behind Golden State, who is on into that final playoff spot right now. So, I mean, we're getting down to the wire here, right? I mean, you look at it, Bucks, 12 games left to go here. Okay, the final dozen, and they're what would we say 7.5 back, so they kind of almost have to win out, and they still. That's like the best. Can you win 12 in a row somehow? And can the Hornets I don't know, lose 8 or something like that? Oof. Man, it's just it's not in the cards for the Bucks this year. So, but in case you're still following. Tonight, 9:30, but they never start on time for some reason. It'll be probably like 9:40, 9:42 tip time for tonight. All right, shot clock's going to cut me off, so we're going to be at halftime here, peeps. Plenty more hockey talk, plenty more hoops talk, plenty more baseball talk coming your way in the final 2 hours. Continue to send me your Mount Rushmores of the best Wisconsin sports head coaches. Again, going to keep throwing this out there because I'm still getting other, lower than D1s. We're just looking at D1 through the pros, okay? Division I up into the pros, and they've had to have coached at Wisconsin either in Division I while they were in Wisconsin or in the pros while they were in Wisconsin, okay? So send those on over because we're going to tabulate the votes, and as voted on by you, the listeners, you will have created the Sports Talk 105.1 Wisconsin Sports head coach Mount Rushmore. 2 in, 2 more to go. We got halftime. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Third quarter tipping off right now. Thanks for making us a part of your start here on this brand new work week on this Monday morning of March 23rd. Coming up next hour, we'll catch up with our good buddy, Mr. JC and EC, Justice Cleveland, sports director extraordinaire, WEAU 13 News. We'll do some local sports roundup with him, brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center, as kind of in that transition season now with the boys' state basketball tournament now officially in the books. Winter sports season kind of, and wrapped up, and now we're off to spring sports. So Mother Nature, help us out and dry out some things and get everything melted. And let's get to the baseball fields, softball fields, outdoor track and field, golf, tennis, all that track. Yeah, track. I said track and field, right? Yeah, track and field and soccer. So let's get to it. Mother Nature, help us out a little bit. All right. So JC will be joining us in the next hour. Still continuing to take your votes. I mean, we all got one, right? Who are your Wisconsin sports Mount Rushmore head coaches? Division I to the pros. Who you got? All right, because I'm adding them, taking them all in. I'm adding them, and by the end of the day, as voted on by you, the listeners, the voters, you will have created the Sports Talk 105.1 Wisconsin sports head coach Mount Rushmore. Top two vote getters right now are Lombardi and Mark Johnson, which I think we can probably almost like call it for that those two are going to be in. It seems like the race is between spots 3 and 4. Alvarez is in it. Bo Ryan is in it. Bob Johnson's in it. Mike Holmgren's in it. I would say those are probably the main 4. Just on the outside, we got like a Kelly Sheffield and Curly Lambeau. But who else? Al McGuire. Forgot to mention him. Kind of on the outside looking into. Division I, Marquette. Don't forget about Marquette basketball back in its day either, guys and gals. So keep those picks coming. All right, my first 2 picks so far have been Vince Lombardi and Mark Johnson. So I'm with the majority so far. But my votes don't count for this. So I looking forward to continuing to read some more of your picks and such. So what else? What else do we got here? We're going to get back some more baseball talk here as well with opening day just a couple days away. Jacob Mizorowski is your opening day starter for the Brew Crew on Thursday. So we're asking, what are some of your projections for Jacob Mizorowski this season? What do you think are some baseline expectations, realistic baseline expectations for the Miz Kid? I like the Miz Kid better. I don't know about you. I like the Miz Kid better. But what are some realistic goals and expectations that we should have for him entering his first full season as a starting pitcher for the Brewers? We know there's going to be some insane high expectations for a lot of people. But where's kind of that happy medium, or what's a realistic goal and option? Hit me up with your predictions and projections, all right? We'll get back to some Brewers chat here as well. And let me know if your bracket is trash or if you're still feeling good. You're feeling confident. Maybe after these games, are you feeling even more confident about your bracket picks? For all of you who had Florida, I'm sorry. The first 1 seed, the defending champs, out. Duke's still in it. Even like you, I know UConn's not a 1, but they're still in it. Arizona's still in it. Michigan's still in it as your other 1 seeds. So, but if you had to redo it, your Sweet 16, which you can do if you go to our website, just click where do you go for your brackets. It's a Sweet 16 bracket challenge. You can do that too if you want to, like, okay, I got to redeem myself, man. I got to go and do better. You can do that for a Sweet 16. So, and you can also check out the leaderboard right now for our bracket challenge. But the big story in Wisconsin sports, think you look no further than the women's hockey team capturing their ninth national championship in program history. I mean, there's so many words that I think we can use to describe what Mark Johnson has done for this program, what Mark Johnson and this Wisconsin women's hockey team has meant or accomplished in the last 20, 25 years. It's dominance, it's dynasty, it's consistency, it's greatness, all the above. But you're talking about 9 national championships. Insane. To me, this is just me. I think you look at, that's in the same breath as UConn basketball. It's Tennessee women's basketball under Pat Summitt. You could throw a little maybe like South Carolina too for women's basketball. Alabama football-esque. I mean, it's you're talking nearly double digits. 06, 07, 09, 2011. It's like in waves too, right? Because the first 4, you're talking about 2006, 2007, 2009, 2011. Then a little bit of a gap, right? 8 years. But then 19, 21, 23, 25, and now 26. They have appeared in 12 NCAA title appearances. 8-4. Or, no, 12, 13. I have to double check that. That math doesn't make sense. So to me, Mark Johnson, I mean, you want to talk about a guy or an athlete, because once in a while, and people do this, I think, year long, it's good man cave talk. It's good, barstool banter and all that good stuff. But you look at Mark Johnson, and I know he was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Okay, I know that. Then moved over to Wisconsin and such. But you want to talk about somebody with a sports background of like Mark Johnson, who, played high school hockey in Madison, played for the University of Wisconsin-Madison under his dad. Won a national championship as a player. Obviously, we know about the 1980 Olympics. Played in the pros for a little bit. And then what he has accomplished as a coach. Like when you talk about straight up Scotty through and through, like from high school to what they've accomplished at their professional life, is there another Wisconsin sports figure that kind of has the resume that Mark Johnson has? Like when you look at it, is there another Wisconsin sports figure? And I know you could throw in we can really get into the weeds on this thing. You could throw in a Bob Uecker, who, obviously Wisconsin through and through. Of course, I don't think there's any debate about that. Early goings as a kid and, from the town, from the area and such. I mean, come on now. That's awesome. I mean, but Mark Johnson, I think, is right up there. I don't know if I'd say number 1, but when you talk about just the background, you talk about hometown kids and you talk about hometown people and representing in their state and such, and you look at what Mark Johnson has done from, his playing days to now with his coaching days. It's remarkable. Just absolutely remarkable. 9-time national champion, 10-time WCHA regular season champion, 10-time WCHA tournament champion, 5-time AHCA Coach of the Year, 10-time WCHA Coach of the Year. That, and then, of course, the gold medal and silver medal in the 2010 Olympics as the women's ice hockey coach. The shelves must be full of just hardware. I mean, the bookshelves and all. Put another shelf in there. But that is an insanely impressive resume. And don't forget, he was our good friend RJ Cardinal, who we'll be talking with tomorrow, his little league head coach too, which is probably, obviously, his biggest accomplishment in life. But tip of the cap to Mark Johnson. Tip of the cap to Badger women's hockey again for capturing another title. All right, let's take a quick break. Plenty more to get to, though. I want to hear from you. Start to hit me up with some more messages, texts. Continue to send me those Wisconsin sports Mount Rushmore picks. We'll take a quick break, and we're going to get to a little Glory Days brought to you by Summer Jam here in Eau Claire. Coming up after these quick words. When it comes to quality meats, you don't guess. You go right to the experts. And that's at Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire, where you're not just buying meat, but you are buying experience. Hand-cut steaks, fresh ground beef, house-made brats and sausages, thick-cut chops done exactly the way you like them. This is your neighborhood butcher shop where quality comes first and service still matters. Planning a cookout or stocking up for the week or looking for that perfect steak for dinner tonight? Well, hey, stop on in to Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire and taste the difference that a real butcher makes. Mike's Star Market, fresh, local, done right. And don't forget those Easter hams, too, with Easter coming up here really quick. Check out Mike's Star Market's Facebook page for more details. All right, so March Madness, how are those brackets looking? A few of you texting in and saying, not great, man. Not great. First hour, I threw out the idea, too. Can you root for the Big Ten now that Wisconsin's out of it? Do you have a problem rooting for the Big Ten to represent well in this tournament? And a wide majority of you saying yes. A couple of you saying no, but a wide majority of you saying yes, you don't have a problem kind of rooting for the Big Ten to do well in this tournament. And you look at it, you got a half dozen teams left in the Sweet 16 that represent the Big Ten. So on that, yeah, I was like, okay, not bad representation, right? Not bad. I mean, odds are, sure looks like at least one should be making the Final Four, I would think. But we know for sure one's going to be in the Elite Eight because of the Iowa and Nebraska matchup. So, but of all the teams that are left in the Sweet 16, which of the teams left maybe is kind of the biggest surprise to you? And I'll throw out the nominations because, I mean, in the East region, no, it shouldn't surprise anybody that it's Duke, St. John's, UConn, Michigan State. Iowa is definitely, I think, a surprise, taking down Florida. You throw in maybe Tennessee. Although Tennessee was kind of a popular pick too. Texas is definitely one in there, but also people had Texas going to the Sweet 16. You throw in Texas, though, because they were a play-in and they just escaped NC State. They beat BYU. They beat Gonzaga. Now they've got Purdue on here. So do you wish this thing, though, had maybe some more Cinderellas in the Sweet 16? Because you look at Texas is the worst seeded team in this thing at 11. Then you throw in Iowa coming in at number 9. And then Tennessee's at 6. Otherwise, it's pretty chalkish. When it comes to these tournaments, to March Madness, do you prefer, let's take away your favorite team in this thing, and for this topic, for this debate, do you prefer more Cinderellas? Would you like to see more Cinderellas? Or are you, because I've seen people say, I just want the best. And I think you see that more when it comes to maybe the college football playoff. But you see it once in a while when it comes to the tournament. Would you rather have it be the best of the best? Like, I want to see chalk because those are the best teams and I want that champion to be the best team. Or would you rather have some crazy stuff happening? Remember 14. I still think Wisconsin, if one of the Harrison twins doesn't hit that 3 to win it, Wisconsin goes to the national championship. In the year before, they beat UConn for the national championship. But that was an 8-7. Yeah, it's UConn and Kentucky, but they weren't the UConn and Kentucky that you kind of think about. 8 and 7 seeds between the two. I like a little Cinderella. Why not? It makes it unique. It makes it different. Yeah. I mean, if we get a chance like it was a few years ago where it's North Carolina versus Duke in the Final Four, oh, heck yeah, that's going to be an awesome game to watch. But I like a little Cinderella mixed in this thing, too. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But I get the case for both sides. I get, the side for some people saying, I just want to see the best get there. And, I don't want a national champion to be a double-digit seed who wasn't maybe the best team throughout the season and such. And I get it. But I also get the cool thing of the underdog going there and winning it all too. To me, that's what makes sports awesome too, is that, hey, everybody's got a chance. You get into the playoffs, you get into the tournament, everybody's got a chance. Everybody's got a chance. That to me is one of the beautiful things about the world of sports is you just get in, you give a team, you give an athlete a chance, let's see what they do with it. Give them that chance. It's like, the 2010-2011 Packers, for crying out loud. There's the video clip after the game, and they're in the locker room, and Aaron Rodgers is sitting at his locker taking his shoes off. And he's like, anything can happen. Anything can happen in the playoffs, and anything sure did happen in those playoffs with Green Bay winning the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I don't mind it. No team should apologize. Like Texas shouldn't apologize for being in the Sweet 16. Iowa shouldn't apologize for being in the Sweet 16. What are they supposed to do? Just bow down and say, yep, Florida, you're a 1 seed. Here you go, sort of thing. Oh. Take out that frustration on teams like Florida and such for not advancing and winning like you're supposed to as being the 1 seed on that thing. So, I like some Cinderellas mixed in there. Now, I don't know if we'll ever see the day of double-digit seeds all across the board in the Final Four. That would be wild. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if one day we got 4 maybe mid-major type of teams in there. Even when Butler went to back-to-back national champions, and I know they were a championship game. I know they were a 5 seed and such, but man, if they would have made that half-court shot, if Hayward would have made that half-court shot against Duke that 1 year, that thing would have been awesome. That would go down, I think, as one of the most memorable, insane national championship games because it's Butler versus Duke, right? Little old Butler, big old Duke. Man, that would have been awesome. I would have loved that thing. Would have loved that. Okay, I do got to do a little bit of Glory Days, brought to you by Summer Jam here in Eau Claire. So I'm going to get to that coming up here in just a couple minutes. But we got some more picks for our Wisconsin sports head coach, Mount Rushmores. Again, Lombardi and Mark Johnson, I'm just going to call it. When we create the sports talk version, Lombardi and Mark Johnson are going to be on there. So 2 spots. Too close to call for the other ones. Although I will say an Alvarez and a Bo Ryan have a little bit of a leg up. I'm not going to go through all the votes that I got through here, but I would say it's between Alvarez, Bo Ryan right now, probably the next 2, but a handful of others, it's still too close to call. Every vote matters right now, but give me your Mount Rushmore Wisconsin sports coaches of all time, looking at Division I all the way up to the pros, starting at Division I, going to the pro levels, okay? That's what I'm looking for right now. Let's take a quick break. Plenty more to get to. We'll do a little Glory Days brought to you by Summer Jam here in Eau Claire coming up after these quick words. Tax season. Yeah, that's here right now. Get those taxes in, baby. And that refund check, hey, it's more than just some extra spending money. It's an opportunity, people. This year, why not invest it right where you live? Upgrade the home, upgrade the space that you have with some beautiful new flooring from Carpet City Flooring Center right here in Eau Claire. Whether you've been maybe dreaming about some warm, comfortable carpet, some durable luxury vinyl planks, maybe that innovative Rigid Max flooring, waterproof options might be good for this time of year too, right? Hey, your tax return can go a long ways towards transforming the look and feel of your home. And at Carpet City Flooring Center, you will find expert guidance, professional installation, and flooring options for every budget. Don't let that refund disappear on little things that you won't remember next month. Put it towards something that you will see and enjoy every single day. Stop on in to Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire and turn your tax return into a home upgrade that you will love for years to come. Let's do a little Glory Days. Again, brought to you by Summer Jam here in Eau Claire. Just kind of a segment where, we like to think back to the glory. We've all used that phrase before in our life, right? Those were the glory days, the glory years, back when, Packers or whatever and such. And this was, I'm going to go back to a little bit on Friday. So obviously Chuck Norris, R.I.P., right? Rest in peace, Chuck Norris. But I was talking to somebody about this over the weekend and such, and think back to the glory days of, watching Walker, Texas Ranger on Saturday nights on CBS, a little TGIF action on Friday nights, or just hanging out with your friends and shooting hoops in the driveway or playing football in the backyard and such. Like, it was just kind of going down. Like, I feel like I'm at that age now where, like a Chuck Norris or such or some of that stuff, it's like you're thinking back at those glory days, and those were the glory years, man. And it was just kind of a reminder because we were like rehashing some great Chuck Norris memes. And a lot of you, and I didn't get to all of them, but a lot of you texted them in Friday, and I didn't get to them I didn't see some of them until this morning when I logged back into our texting line and such, which were awesome. But it's like, you're kind of rehashing that, then you're kind of thinking about, the old Walker, Texas Ranger, Saturday night, CBS, middle school, elementary school, because that was like the one day you can maybe stay up a little bit late, but not too late, because, if you're like me, maybe you had to go to Sunday school the next day or such, and it was just like in the Friday night TGIF, but maybe it's your get-together with your buddies or your friends and playing. You think back to that, I'm like, man, those were the glory years. Those were the glory days, thinking about that sort of stuff. And then you kind of just get down to the wire. And I was looking at, some stuff at this day in sports history, and it was like, and I remember a little bit from when I was a kid, but I was never like big into it. But Evel Knievel. All right. So Evel Knievel, first of all, was anybody listening right now a big Evel Knievel fan when they were younger or such? But it was this day in 1972 that the man broke 93 bones after successfully jumping 35 cars. Is that still like a thing? Like, is there still events or stuff like this that are still going on? Because I feel like breaking 93 bones after, hey, you successfully jumped 35 cars, but was it worth it? Was it worth it? Like, Evel Knievel was kind of like when I was younger, kind of like, we knew who he was. We knew what they did, but maybe really didn't know, like, all that they did sort of thing. But I was looking at different stuff in sports history, and that one jumped out. I'm like, oh, yeah. Because we all did stupid stuff with our bikes, maybe, or sleds and all that stuff, too. But just kind of, I was thinking about, it's not really just like one thing for our glory days here, but just kind of I think when, like a Chuck Norris or somebody like pass away, and then you kind of like go back to like, oh man, remember we were kids and we did this, or oh man, you're looking at old videos on YouTube and such, him and Bruce Lee and all that sort of stuff, and it's like, oh, remember this and remember that. So I guess kind of my glory days, I'm gonna go back to the Chuckster and Chuck Norris. Good old, one of these days, I think maybe it's a pod, we might have to do like some of the best action heroes or action movies of all time. That might have to be a podcast back then. So, really quick, because we do have some breaking news, but Surveyor says, I'm sorry, but if Curly isn't on the Mount Rushmore of coaches, then it's a faulty list. 226 wins, 132 losses, and a 22 overall record, 631 win percentage with 6 titles. If that doesn't deserve Rushmore status, I don't know what does. Well, Surveyor, I was going to do it probably for my last one, but I've been revealing a coach that I would put on my Wisconsin sports Mount Rushmore of all time, and Curly Lambeau is on mine. I think a lot of people kind of tend to forget that Curly Lambeau was also a coach, and a very successful coach in football history. In fact, I mean, if you go back a few years when they did the 100th anniversary for the NFL, and Belichick was a part of this group, but they voted, for their all-time team. And Curly Lambeau was listed as a top 10 NFL coach of all time. And I feel like some Packers fans, and it's, I'm not like scolding them or anything like that. I feel like that you tend to forget, that dude won a lot of games. He won a lot of games. In fact, he's 6th all time in NFL history for wins. 6th all time for wins. Don Shula, George Halas, Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, Tom Landry, Curly Lambeau. So I was going to wait for that to be my final pick, but since you brought it up, Surveyor, he is also on my Mount Rushmore because of a lot of the reasons you said. And I think he kind of gets, maybe it's because Lombardi, you think about coaches in Packers land, Lombardi is like number one. He's right up there, right? He's the cream of the crop. We've had quite a few Holmgren picks in there, and I think that's just kind of maybe a generational thing of bringing, kind of part of that group that brought the Packers back to glory, glory days and such. But I've got Lambeau on my list. So my 3 so far: Mark Johnson, Vince Lombardi, Curly Lambeau. But the breaking news is related to the football world. Jackson Smith-Njigba, 4-year deal, $186.6 million. I'll repeat that, $168.6 million. That's a lot of money. $120 million guaranteed. Whoo, that is a monster deal, making him the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history. Now, he averages 42 if we do the average, because agents kind of do that too, or the narratives kind of go up by average because, it's like, hey, he's the highest paid by average. And then you kind of like, well, so-and-so is the highest paid by guaranteed and such. But if we look at it from an average per year of $42.15 million, that beats Jamar Chase by nearly $2 million. Seattle is getting some stuff done too, because they also extended Charles Cross to a 4-year, $104.4 million deal back in January. They've done it with Jackson Smith-Njigba and probably Devin Witherspoon. Probably going to get a new deal here soon. But this has ramifications towards maybe a Christian Watson. If you're Christian Watson right now you're kind of in a situation. I'm bringing it back to a Packers thing here quickly. If you're Christian Watson and you're the rep for Christian Watson, it's easy for us to say what you would do, but try to put yourself in the shoes of one Christian Watson. You're up for a potential new contract. You're coming off of a solid season for Green Bay where your stock is rising. Do you, and I'm sure Green Bay would love to come to an extension, come to a deal right now and try to lock him up for a few years. But if you're Watson, you have a decision to make. Let's say there is a deal out there. Like Green Bay's got a deal on the table, okay? You sign it, and you have that financial security because, let's face it, you have also been banged up and you've missed some time. Or do you bet on yourself? Do you say, you know what, when I came back, I had a solid season last year. I'm going to bet on myself this year, having my best season yet. And that in turn is going to make me a whole lot more cash. What do you do if you're like a guy like Christian Watson? Because now you got Puka is probably looking at that deal. He's probably the happiest man outside of Jackson Smith-Njigba right now. Puka has got to be the happiest man in the world. Because that's probably the new starting point for him in the Rams. It's all right, that's where we're going to at least start at. Or maybe even higher than that, and where they settle near something like that. But it does, these deals have ramifications across the league, across, our teams and our favorite teams and such. And we were just talking about Jane Reed. Now, I don't think Jane Reed's going to be the highest paid wide receiver of any time. But even a number like that, what Jackson has now, it has trickle-down effects for other wide receivers. Because maybe you got teams like, okay, we can't afford that amount of money for that receiver, but it's going to boost the price for those next receivers, for those second-tier receivers. Because okay, you can't afford those guys. Well, hey, here's my guy. His price also went up a little bit, though, too. So it moves the needle for every wide receiver, not just the best of the best, but it moves the needle. It moves the price tag up for a lot of guys. Because other teams may want to try to go bargain shopping and try to cut ties. It's but those prices are still going to go up too. All right, we got to take our final break here. And then we're going to be into the fourth quarter already. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes to wrap up the third quarter after these quick words. When it comes to fresh, convenient, and delicious, Hy-Vee in Eau Claire has got you covered. From fresh produce and premium meats to bakery favorites and ready-to-go meals, everything you need is under one roof. Maybe planning some dinner tonight or grabbing lunch on the run, stocking up for the week. Hey, Hy-Vee makes it simple. A store that feels like your neighborhood market, just a little bit bigger. Plus, with daily and weekly deals and seasonal specials, there's always something new to discover. Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, where there is a helpful smile in every aisle. And hey, maybe if you're going down to opening day, or with it being baseball season and such, you need to get some tailgating supplies, snacks, road trip snacks, all that good stuff. You can head to our good friends at Hy-Vee and load up there. All right, we got about less than 10 minutes to the top of the hour. So again, coming up next hour, we'll catch up with our good buddy, Mr. Justice Cleveland, WEAU 13 News. We'll do some local sports roundup with him. Brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. We'll get back to some more hockey and hoops chat. We've got opening day just a couple days away here for the Brewers. What are some of your realistic expectations for one Jacob Misiorowski, and maybe some bold predictions for Jacob Misiorowski? So, Surveyor, you might have opened up some of the floodgates here, because we did get a couple more picks for Curly Lambeau to be on that all-time coaching Wisconsin sports coach Mount Rushmore. I think it's still too close to call for 3 through 4, though. So, but keep sending me your Mount Rushmore picks. Again, we're looking at it from just a Division I up to a pro level, trying to narrow it down just a little bit. But the 2 locks already, and we've got enough votes for this. But the 2 locks have been Mark Johnson and Vince Lombardi. So, but continue to send me your entire Wisconsin sports all-time head coaching Mount Rushmore. So your top 4 Wisconsin sports coaches of all time from Division I on up. So we got a few more Brewers Nuggets on the texting line to get to here. Miz expectations. 100 and I'm kind of mostly just looking at innings and ERA, because I feel like wins, losses for a starting pitcher now. I mean, it's, it's cool to see a starting pitcher go 20-5 or whatever, hit 20 wins and such. But I mean, so much now is dependent on whether a pitcher gets wins and losses based off of the offensive support they get. I mean, again, crying out loud, Paul Skeens last year, right? 500, was it 10-10, 11-10, whatever it was, and Jacob deGrom just a few years ago too. So I guess for me personally, I'm not looking so much at wins and losses for Misiorowski this year. But got Tim that said a little bit earlier, Misiorowski, $150 innings, 3.5 ERA, and that's kind of where I'm looking at for some predictions or for some expectations. Where's that line, like a realistic expectation in terms of inning counts, and ERA for the Miz? So $150, 3.5, did have double-digit wins on there too, had 15 wins. So we had Nick earlier also saying a 3 ERA with 160 innings pitched. And then Steve, we had one of our mini Steves who chimes in, but Steve also said 155 innings and a 3.2 ERA. So if you want, please continue to send those on over via that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line with a quick text, or you can hit us up also on the Section 105 YouTube chat room. So we'll get back to some more baseball talk, as we are just days away from opening day. Again, the Brewers, if you're looking at it, let me bring up the schedule. We do have a spring training game on the docket here for today that you'll be able to listen to on the radio dials. Trying to bring up the studio schedule here, but computer's acting a little bit slower here now too. Okay, so 6:40 first pitch, so coverage beginning at about 6:30 tonight. So just 2 more spring training games today, tomorrow. That's it. And then it's the White Sox, the home opener on Thursday. I think, honestly, the roster's pretty much set. Now we're just with these final 2 games, like, not going to win. Nobody gets hurt or nobody gets dinged up. so we can get into this season relatively healthy. I know Quinn Priester's banged up. A couple other pitchers banged up and such. We'll see about Brandon Woodruff. Even though he's not the opening day starter, is he going to be able to go here fairly soon and such? So, but that'd be my thing right now is like, can we just make sure that we're healthy getting into opening day and go unscathed through these last two spring training games and such. So, but okay. Also, we'll get back. How's your brackets looking? Again, trash it. Feeling great. Still, a lot of you on our post Glass and Mirror 715 Speaks poll question. 70% of you saying trash it. Wide majority of you not feeling great about your brackets. Not feeling great about where you stand in your bracket challenges. So if you did enter our Sports Talk Bracket Challenge, you can check it out at our website. And if you're not on that first page of the leaderboard, just type your name in there, and it'll tell you what place you're in. Tied for a lot, but hey, I'll say this. If you still have your Final Four teams alive, you still got your national championship teams alive, you're still good, okay? You're in a good spot because I'll just say, looking at some of the leaders on that first page, looking at who they have in the championship games, there's some of them, they don't have teams alive anymore. So whoever they had for making it to the championship and such, there's a couple of them, at least from the few that I looked at, they don't have their championship teams alive anymore. So there's opportunity to move up. Even though we're in the Sweet 16 right now, there's plenty of opportunity to move up in that standings. And if you want to, maybe you want to rebound and then save face a little bit, there is a Sweet 16 bracket challenge also available. You just do the normal thing. Like you click where you did your bracket challenge and you'll see a little tab that says 16 and then there's a Final Four one, but obviously we don't have the Final Four yet. But if you want to do the Sweet 16 one and maybe kind of save face a little bit, you can do that too. So, but we'll talk some more hoops coming up in the next hour. We'll talk some more baseball. We'll talk some more hockey as well, along with our local sports roundup that we'll get to. Continue to send me your Mount Rushmore of Wisconsin sports coaches of all time. All right, top 4, Division I through the pros. Because at the end of the day, I'll tabulate all the texts that we got or the messages on the video stream that we got, and we'll officially have the Sports Talk 105.1 Mount Rushmore of all-time head coaches in Wisconsin history, as voted on by you, the listener. 2 have already been on there. I'm calling it for the first 2. Plenty of votes. Vince and Mark Johnson. Those 2 are already on there. It's a competition for the final 2. Curly Lambeau, Mike Holmgren, Bo Ryan, Barry Alvarez, Bob Johnson, Al McGuire. I would say those are all the other coaches that are currently in the running. No Brewers coach, no Brewers managers on that list. But I did have a little fun in the first hour and just said, hey, if Pat Murphy and the Brewers win the World Series this year, does he automatically get vaulted? And it was a resounding yes. If the Brewers win the World Series with Pat Murphy as manager, he would automatically be put into the top 4. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut us off here. So we've got some news updates, and then we'll tip off the 4th quarter. We'll do some local sports again and kind of rehash everything that we talked about in the first 3 hours. All right, news updates. We'll be right back after these few words. Fourth quarter kicking off right now on this Monday morning of March 23rd. Thanks for hanging out with us, no matter or wherever you are listening to us from this morning. Continue to send over some of your Mount Rushmore picks for Wisconsin sports coaches of all time, D1 to the pros, because Mark Johnson added his 9th national title yesterday. I mean, I don't know about you, JC, Justice Cleveland, sports director extraordinaire. To me, that's like UConn territory, Pat Summitt, Tennessee territory. You know, so I still feel like it gets a little underappreciated. Maybe
Right.
just because it's the sport or so. I don't know, but still 9 national champions for crying out loud. So
Yeah, it's amazing what he's done. I think he's, for a sport that's relatively younger, when you look at NCAA sports, he's already that top tier, and that's what everybody's going to be shooting at for the rest of the history of this sport. So it's amazing what he's done. And then after we were watching, me and JD were in the office watching that Penn State game, and the fact that they survived regulation, because Penn State had the momentum in regulation in that one, and it looked bad for the Badgers, but to get that power play right off the bat, and it's like they just knew. They're like, okay, we're not going to give you a chance. We're just going to end this quickly. And then got a little scary yesterday. It looked like they were in control for a while there.
yeah,
And then
jumping out to an early 2-0 lead, but that went away quick. So.
Yeah, but held on, got the win. What another great year for that team, and just far and beyond the best program right now in the country. Ohio State's very close, obviously, because they've been in the title game the same time. So it's been a lot of fun to watch. So. And I got the men's hockey team. We'll see what they can do. Hopefully they can make some noise here in the tournament as well. So that's starting up on Thursday against Dartmouth.
Yep. It's just, you've looked at even, Mark Johnson's, not only just from his coaching, but I think it's unique from a sports perspective. His playing career, obviously the 80 Olympics, and winning a national championship with the Badgers under his dad, and playing high school in Madison. I mean, I think it kind of in rare company when you look at the just his overall sports lineage from when he was a player to where he's at right now.
And I think the thing I admire the most is that he's a guy who embraced this challenge of creating a dynasty in a sport that was brand new.
Yeah.
From the ground up. He came in and he's like, okay. And he, had opportunities to go other places, but said, no, this is where I want to be. This is the program that I love. And we've just seen it continue to get better. I mean, it was so good. And it's taken another leap to this point where it's like, you're right. It's like UConn, Tennessee in basketball territory where it's just like there's Wisconsin and kind of there's everybody else. And that's great to see. And to have the life and career and legacy that he had on the ice, and now I don't want to say surpass it off the ice, but it's pretty close to to be a part of that Miracle on Ice team. You're always gonna, no matter what, you're on a pedestal.
Yep.
But I think he's done more now as a coach, because I think he's propelled a sport into the upper echelon.
I agree.
That was starting out at nothing.
Yep, I agree. Well said. Shall we do some local sports quick?
Sure.
I know we're kind of in a transition stage, but let's do some local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. So state basketball for boys concluded this past week. I know Regis fell in their Thursday game, and St. Croix Central fell.
Salem too.
Yep. So, but that's in the books now. So still, I mean, like maybe from a Regis standpoint, another fantastic season.
Yeah.
For Eau Claire Regis basketball. So
hats off to Connor Miller. He came in. It's a tough situation being, alumni of the school, being one of their greatest players of all time, and then you come in as the head coach, and you struggled the first couple of years. It's like there's probably those questions like, can he do this? And then this year, it all came together. He, the plan he had, the team he built, came together to get them to state, and I think that's first half, hats off to him. You got to look back at Blake Whistler having just one of the all-time great careers in the city of Eau Claire and in the area. Just tons of points scored. 56-point performance in the playoffs against Onalaska Luther. Just one of the great careers there. And then you got somebody like a DJ Cooper, who as an underclassman, starting to show off and show out and on the biggest stage of them all.
Right.
So I think the future's going to continue to be bright for that Regis team, I think, next year as well. So congratulations to them on a great season. And it's fun. I got to cover a little bit of St. Croix Central. I covered their sectional game, and that was just a team that was, I think they played a really, really tough non-conference schedule. A conference schedule in itself, the Middle Border, was rough this season too. So, I mean, you had Altoona in there as a number one. Prescott's in there as well. So they played a really rough schedule and came out and, steel sharpened steel and made that run to state as well for them. So West Salem's just been one of those stalwarts down there in the Cooley region and getting another chance. It came so close to moving on, just in the end didn't have enough. So, yeah, another fun year of basketball in our area. It's crazy. It's over now, and we look towards the spring sports.
Yeah, I know we had some teams already practicing and such, and more is getting going here. Obviously, a lot's going to depend on Mother Nature.
Yep. We got some
too, so.
Indoor softball games coming up on the end of the week there at the Sonanteg as well. So I believe it's McDonald and Altoona are playing, and then North and Wisconsin Rapids on it's either Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
So we'll have some indoor. I think it's Thursday.
Okay.
So, yeah, you're getting to that point. I know, speaking of softball, the Blue Golds will be back home. They take on Superior, I believe, tomorrow.
The 24th, yep.
Yep, at the Sonanteg. So, I mean, that's the great thing about having that Sonanteg field house is that you're able to do this, whereas the fields right now are just mud.
Right.
After all the snow that we got, and we're still in March.
Right.
Like you don't really count on getting anything going on outside in March.
Right.
So, yeah, it's great to have that. So then, I think
that's coming off of a very successful Florida trip for the Blue Golds, going undefeated.
Yes.
So
both things, the softball team's just been playing outstanding. The last month they've played some great softball, and the baseball team has been playing very, very solid. So it'll be fun to see this team this year. I feel like they're going to make a step this year in the conference. So yeah, it'll be fun to see that baseball team come up. But yeah, get out to the Sonanteg tomorrow if you want to catch some softball from the Blue Golds there.
Yep, definitely. And I know shout out too because staying with Blue Golds, but their gymnastics squad well representing at nationals over in New York too. So
yeah, a couple All-Americans there, and finishing fourth overall. Stout had a great showing as well. A couple of national champions, I believe, on the Stout team as well. So great job for those local gymnasts for those two schools. I mean, if we stay with Stout, we got to go right over to the hockey team that just keeps on rolling. I mean, just no doubt against Utica to get to moving on now to the Frozen Four.
Right.
First time since 2009. And I was talking with JD, who's covered that team a lot, and he said they're just a fun team. They're just a team that goes out there. There's a lot of looseness and fun and love being around each other. Some hockey teams you get a little, they're pretty serious. You're not seeing that. He says that Stout team's loose, has a lot of fun, enjoys that. And I think it shows off on the ice just how much they're enjoying winning. I'll tell you that much. And yeah, you have them, and then River Falls. I mean, we talk about the Wisconsin women's hockey team as being one of that UW River Falls team is moving right up there in D3 as the powerhouse, and they'll host the Frozen Four this weekend. Play the semifinal game on Thursday. No, Friday, and if they get the win, they host the championship game on Sunday. So good luck to them. I mean, that's a team I've seen a lot of play and every year. They refill, and yeah, it's going to be fun to see if we can walk away with two more hockey national championships champions from this area, maybe three. You never know. The Badger men, they were beating a lot of ranked teams this year.
They were. Yep.
So yeah, it's an exciting time when you go to the college sports here.
I agree. To kind of wrap it up, I know what happened last week and such, but going back to high school, Mike Sins coming over to be the Eau Claire North head football coach. So I know we talked a little bit about it last week, but just to kind of get because that's where I saw it break, was you posting it on social media and such. So, but that I think that's a big time hire.
Yeah. He had stepped away from Menominee, I think, the week before, and then I don't think I had that on my radar. It popped up. I got Mike Pernsteiner's email, and I'm like, whoa. And I think that's great. I think they've set the groundwork. McGinnis did a great job of setting the groundwork. And even before that, I mean, they really have built this from where they were. And they've obviously had one of the longest losing streaks in the state, the longest at one point. And then they've just kind of steadily gotten better and better and better. And that's through the coaches that were before. And now I think Sins will be the man to kind of keep that going. I think McGinnis did a great job these last couple of years of getting those numbers up. That's the tough thing when you've had that traditional kind of losing is to get people out for your team. But I think this is going to be a fun transition, and it's Sins has won everywhere he's went.
Mm-hmm.
He was at Mondovi, had great success there, moved to Memorial, kept that team on, had success there, and then steps into maybe the toughest situation you're going to step in. You're following a legend in Joe Labuda.
Mm-hmm. And your alma mater, too.
In your alma mater. I mean, that's a lot of pressure there. And he came in and got him to the playoffs every year.
Mm-hmm.
And, so now he steps into it's a uniquely different pressure situation, but of trying to get a team that hasn't had a whole lot of success to get them over that hump to where they're, making the playoffs and getting that kind of success that obviously Husky fans have been, clamoring for. And again, I think a lot of the groundwork's been laid there. But I think Sins is a good man to come in and try to take him over that hump.
Absolutely. All right, that is your local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. Let's take a quick break, and I want to talk some baseball since we are just a couple days away from opening day. So let's talk a little Brewers. The Miz Kid, the opening day starter for the Brewers. Pat Murphy making that official just a couple days ago and such. So just 2 more spring training games against the Reds today and tomorrow, and then we're ready for opening day on Thursday. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back to talk some baseball coming up after these quick words. Opening day, just a couple days away here for the Brew Crew. We know Pat Murphy has already named his opening day starter. It's the Miz kid, Jacob Mizorowski, being named a starter. Probably, I think we kind of thought maybe be between him or Chad Patrick at this point, just kind of hearing, well, Quinn Priester's on the injured list and Brandon Woodruff maybe not ready. They're taking it cautious and slow with him. So it seemed like it was between Mizorowski and Chad Patrick at that point. So probably no big surprise that it's officially the Miz kid.
Yeah,
so.
I feel like opening day, you go with the bigger name too. I mean, that'll get that crowd jazzed to get to see a player that made such a splash last year. No offense to Chad Patrick, but
right.
Jacob Mizorowski brings a few more eyes than Chad Patrick would as a starter. So I think really you don't have a whole lot of other choices at this point. So
right.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how this starting rotation goes to start the season.
Yeah, like I guess, how do you view, like from a projections, do you think the Brewers are, again, just kind of typical, everybody's overlooking them a little bit? Are they going to surpass, some of the second place, not making the postseason? There seems to be a little bit more love for the Pirates this year because, they finally did make some offseason moves, nothing like worldly, sort of thing, but they added a little bit more, which I'm sure some Pirates fans are saying, about time, because of Paul Skeens over there. So I still feel like if the Brewers hit all their mark, the potential's there for another great season.
I look at it that with, the rest of that division, it's prove it to me. Cubs, Cardinals, fine. I will always put them in contention because they just find a way.
Yeah.
Reds and Pirates, I will always doubt them until they change my mind. Until a couple of years ago, it's always been it's going to be the Reds' year. I just don't. The Reds just don't. I've not sold on those two franchises being fully committed to winning.
Right.
Especially the Pirates. I mean, the Pirates go a decade between, hey, we're going to go in a little bit here, and then they don't do anything for 10 years. So you have Skeens, you have a once-in-generational talent there at pitcher. Add to that. You need more than that. It's not going to get you there. So until the Pirates do something, rest of the way, I'm not convinced there. Same with the Reds. Reds might have a lot of talent, but until you do something, I think it's still going to be between the Cardinals, Brewers, and Cubs.
Yeah,
because those are the teams that consistently do something.
Yeah, I think I see it's the younger talent and such, but I also see a lot of those guys that have playoff experience on this team from maybe a position player standpoint. Heck, even Mizorowski and Patrick pitched in high moments in last year's playoffs too.
And again, terrain, like doing the World Baseball Classic, that's another high-pressure situation.
Yep.
These guys have played some high-pressure playoff games. All of them that are young have done this already.
Right.
Jack Chichurio, already in his young career has played these high-pressure playoff situations. So I think that just makes things a lot easier, like for these guys to go out there, and the pressure cooker situations aren't going to be as much of, put that much strain on them because they've done it.
Right.
So I think, as with Pat Murphy at the helm, the Brewers front office has found ways to just find arms.
Yeah.
They keep finding arms. I got a chance to watch that Futures game against the Mariners on, I think it was Friday. Like, Luis Pena.
Oh, yeah.
Mate.
Yeah.
Jet Williams was in that game. Just watching that, I'm like, the future's still bright. That's why, again, they're the number one farm system. Yeah. There's a reason. So that gives you maneuverability too. Not just, obviously you don't want to see some of these guys get traded, but if you needed to bring in somebody, you have those pieces there.
Right.
Not only with, on that minor league stuff, but with the major league roster with some guys that, got some flexibility as well. So I think they're going to battle for the pennant again. I don't see why they wouldn't battle for that, the division and have a chance. Nothing's changed enough in my mind. I will say this: I think Freddie Peralta was talented. I don't think Freddie was the number one ace of a team. Even as I think last year was the potential was there last year. I just don't think he's one piece that completely derails this whole Brewers team.
Right.
And we haven't seen one pitcher derail this Brewers team. Honestly,
that's true.
How many guys have gone and they still find a way? So I until, again, prove me wrong with that, until that happens, I want to bet on that front office of finding a way to get that team to be successful.
Yeah, I don't think this is a knock on Freddie, but maybe on a is he like a 2 or a 3? Maybe if you kind of power
I
rank
think he's a real good 2.
Yeah.
I really do. I think he's a guy who is going to get you around those 15 wins if he's got his good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I ever felt like he's a guy who's going to come in and shut a team down all the time.
Right.
Because we saw enough of those. I think last year was his best year by far.
Mm-hmm.
Most consistent year. Because we didn't see those blow up games. Because he was prone to have those games where he gave up like 6-7 runs in the first 3 innings.
Right.
We didn't see that last year. But I don't know if like the money that they would have had to commit to him, I don't think it would have been worth it for the maneuverability that they have now to keep guys in that rotation for more guys and the guys they got. So I it's not a knock on Fred. I think he had a great career with the Brewers. It just never was that guy who felt like an ace.
Right. No, it makes sense. It absolutely does. So I feel like, I'm maybe a little bit more excited for opening day than I have been in the past. I don't know if it's from World Baseball Classic hangover and such, or it's just kind of like the continued growth of a lot of these younger players that we've seen. You mentioned Bryce Terang. Just, I'm like, what's next for Bryce Terang this year? Because he has just gotten insanely better every single year, and then Jackson Churio entering year 3, the youngster there too. How can he take another step and such? So it's like you add in the Miz and Chad Patrick and some of those younger arms. Maybe it's just because I'm excited to see these guys put it all together for this season.
Healthy Yelich.
Yeah.
Like if this team, these guys make another step, that another step could be a World Series.
Yeah.
Because, how close they were last year. If you can make that next step, this would be something that could propel this team. Offensively, obviously, that's what they need.
Right.
The situational hitting in the playoffs, obviously, has been the biggest issue they've had in their playoff runs.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can make that step with those younger guys, just even a little bit more, it's going to get you a couple more runs. It's going to get you a couple more wins, especially in the playoffs, and it could get you the World Series. And I think having a manager like Pat Murphy also gets you excited for a team. I mean, how many times can you say that the manager gets you excited for a team? But I think that's what Murphy does, because I think how much he can handle these younger players and how well he's been at molding them and getting the most out of them.
Mm-hmm.
You got newer guys coming in. I think he could do the same thing, and he's just bonds with his team so well. I think, again, when he was here and having him, just calling up guys randomly.
Yeah.
And how cool is that, I'm sure, like, Tony La Russa wasn't calling up players randomly just to chit-chat while he was, first of all, Tony La Russa's not doing a stage show. I don't think that was ever going to happen. But, yeah, so it's like he understands how they work, these younger players, and gets the most out of them.
Right. Yeah, I'm definitely excited coming up here in a couple days for opening day. I can't wait. So, I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break, and then we'll switch over to some hoops chats and such with the Sweet 16 now in. So, how's your bracket looking?
Not great.
We'll just leave it there.
Yep.
All right. So, we'll have a quick break, but plenty more to get to coming up after these quick words. justice, you probably would be in the 70% of the portion when we posted up how's your bracket doing, the 70% that said trash it.
Oh, yeah. And I still have Duke winning.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. I don't remember. There's probably a couple of Final Four teams, but yeah, it's
I think if you got all your Final Four teams, though, you're still feeling pretty good.
I don't think I did because I think I had Gonzaga going.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, did you have Florida going in there, too?
Let me pull this up here. We'll talk about it. It's been rough, okay? It has not been a I wanted my son to do one, and he didn't because I feel like he would have had a chance this year.
Oh, yeah.
Like
it's the youth that do better because they don't overthink it.
Exactly. And I tried. Like, one of my brackets was just like, okay, I'm just going to try to pick as crazy of things as I can.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, you even do it, and you're like, oh, that can't happen. And then it happens, and you're like, I should have went with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's all right, we're almost there. This is me trying to fill time while talking. Do I have Final Four teams left? Final Four. Duke and Arizona. Well, that's my championship game. Oh, I guess I have 3 out of 4.
Okay.
I'm not too bad. Florida was one of them.
Okay.
But I
think a lot of people probably had a Florida. Right?
I mean, these are outlandish picks of Duke, Arizona, and Alabama. So it's not like I'm going too crazy there. But,
yeah.
So I have a chance. So you're saying there's a chance.
There's a chance.
Even like if picking the winner, like it's so hard these days. There's so much parity. Teams are so close now. I think Wisconsin High Point's a great example of two teams that if a team's on right and a team's is off, you can see that happen. So yeah, it's so hard to predict this tournament now. The fact that like at our station, the person leading's got 90% of their picks.
Yeah,
Terry Hapner, good work out there. I don't know how you're doing it, but it's amazing. I'm like at 58% or something like that. Like, I don't even feel bad about that.
Just want to be above the Mendoza line a little bit.
That's really. I mean, I'm in 5th place with that. So yeah, it's so hard now. Not that it was ever easy to pick the brackets. But.
Right. Well, I got to ask you. I mean, because it was a hot topic on Friday morning. Greg Gard. Everybody. It hasn't been to the second weekend since his second year. I don't think he should, nor will he be fired. But does he at least enter, do you think, next year with the seat warm? Is there how much pressure on him? I mean, I think, on one hand, is it more of a fan sort of thing that they're upset that they're not into the second weekend again for this tournament? I mean, what's your take on the whole situation?
I will say, as soon as they lost, I'm like, oh man,
I knew it was going to come out.
Here comes comes the Gard debate right away. That's the first thing. I'm like, here we go. 2 weeks of should Greg Gard be the head coach or not? I don't think he should be fired. I don't. Again, I know I've looking around on social media, people are like, well, this is what happens. They were looking at Iowa.
Yeah.
Fran McCaffrey goes, and now they make a run. This is what can happen. The grass can be greener on the other side. But the chances of that happening are so slim usually with like when you make a change like that.
And my counter to that would be, is that what we want? Is like a 9? We're counting on a 9 seed to upset a 1.
Right, exactly. So yeah, it's not like I guess they made it farther than the Badgers, obviously, but it's still,
I would say the better argument is like Michigan.
Yeah.
When they moved from Juwan Howard and, hey, they're a 1 seed and might win, a couple years later. So that would be the better argument for me. But that's also Michigan.
Yeah, and also watching Juwan Howard coach, I feel like there was a lot of space to go up with that. So I don't think there's a reason to make a change. And I think we had the same argument going into last year, or coming into this season from last year. And then I think no one was even talking about it once the season started.
Right.
Like we were watching this team start pulling off these games and upsets over ranked teams, and you're like, okay, Gard knows what he's doing. And then they get upset in the tournament, and it's like, okay, well, maybe he doesn't know what he's doing. So I just think he finds a way to get a lot. I think the one thing I like about him is that he's making the transition for this team.
Right.
Like people were sick of the swing offense, and they're not being, so he's moved on to, the transition offense, a high-powered offense. I think the tough thing is he's got to commit. They're trying to play kind of both ways right now. And you saw it towards the end of the game where the defense just wasn't there. Like they weren't able to get the stops when they needed to get stops.
Yep.
So if you can find a way to get that defensive pressure back, that's the tough thing about that coin is that you want that high scoring, but with that comes sacrificing some of that defense. And I think he doesn't quite have all the players in place to be able to be successful because that defense just can't keep up with some of these teams that are running that transition offense.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're not hitting their shots consistently, you see what happens. High point example. When they're hitting their shots consistently and you're struggling a little bit, you can get upset. I told you off air, like when they lost that game to Oregon, that was in my mind was like,
yep.
Yeah, they'd been on a great run. They'd been knocking off all these top 25 teams. But then you go, yeah, it was on the road. Yeah, it's, the time change, whatever you want to say. Oregon was a horrible team this year.
They were.
They were one of the worst teams in the country, and they lost that game.
Mm-hmm.
That was, to my head, it's like, who's to say they can't go into the tournament and be one and done? Because they can lose to anybody. And again, I know it's tired, and I've said it for the last, 150 years. Badger teams, even with the new focus on offense, can beat anybody and can lose to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And, Oregon was a great example of that. High Point, I think, obviously, they were a good team. That's an example of a team being hot at the right time, and you're not hot.
Right.
So I don't know how much I blame that on Greg Gard. I think it's just kind of the state of basketball right now is that,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to compete, you got to run these certain kinds of offenses. Could they compete going back to like the Bo Ryan, Dick Bennett styles? Maybe. But I don't think you're going to get players anymore.
Nope.
Because players don't want to play that grinded out.
And you're not going to have players that are going to be willing to wait their turn,
Right.
coming in as a freshman and develop and such. We've seen that already.
Exactly. Well, if people forget, AJ Storr was still playing basketball this year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like you think you've like, oh, yeah, he was on this team a couple of years ago. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, guys don't want to wait.
Nope.
Guys want to be that focus. And if you're going to do that, you gotta have scoring.
And
you
I
gotta have
know-
enough scoring to keep guys happy.
Mm-hmm. And I know there's a talk now too that I've seen on social media is it goes back to we've had this when Bo Ryan was still head coach, in-state recruiting. You got the Kneppel brothers, right? Con Kneppel's brothers, play, and people, and Con obviously went to Duke to play and such, and. Trying, get people saying they need a coach that can, better recruit in state and that sort of thing. And my counter to that is I don't believe Greg Gard is completely ignoring in-state recruits. Right. It's not that. We haven't heard anything to the contrary. We see him at the Dells showcases and but I think we also have to try to put ourselves in the shoes of 16, 17-year-old kids.
Right.
Yes, it would be, from our perspective, it's like, why wouldn't you want to represent your state team? But put yourself in the shoes of a 16, 17-year-old and say, hey, Duke wants me to play for them?
Yeah.
These big-time programs want me to play for them, and I'm going to get playing time, and I'm going to be a starter? Yeah, I'll probably be a starter for Scots too, but this is Duke, and this is what's the cool thing.
Yeah, and it's not like Wisconsin's a top 20 tier team, but Duke's out there as a star.
Yeah.
They're a shining star. They're a team that has been in the top 25 for our lifetimes, most of it.
Yes.
If like 90% of the time they've been in our lifetime. They are that team.
Yeah.
They are the Yankees in my mind
Yep.
of college basketball because they have been at the top for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a kid, and even if you've grown up in Wisconsin, so you've known Wisconsin sports,
Mm-hmm.
but man, when Duke comes a-calling and they're coming from out of state to come and visit you and say, hey, we want you to play for us,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be on ESPN or whoever is showing the games.
Yep.
You're national televised 99% of your games.
Right.
It's hard. It's hard to resist, and I can understand. Unless you've bled, Wisconsin, that's been your team.
Not everybody's a Sam Decker, where
Right.
that means something to them. Or not everybody's going to be like a Bronson Koenig who's going to turn down North Carolina, which was his favorite team. That was a story too, and
Right.
stayed in state and such. Not every kid's going to be that way, and I don't think as a coach you can maybe you got to be a salesperson.
Yeah.
Kind of change that kid's mind at that young age too, because I think they kind of look at, okay, it'd be pretty dang cool to play for Duke.
Yeah.
Or one of those teams too.
And you can't ignore the financial incentives that are there now.
Right.
And how much do you try to commit on one kid when that could be a detriment to your whole roster? Yeah. And that kid could leave in a year.
Yeah.
So you have no commitment to stay.
Right.
That kid could be at Duke then the next year. We've seen it happen, obviously, with the Badgers and guys just leaving.
Well, look at Duke last year. How many guys left last year, and they're still in one seed here? Can Wisconsin do that? No, Wisconsin can't do that.
No.
Yeah.
So it's such a fine balance that you have to walk. Yeah, you can get guys that can run your system if you're doing more of a unique system. But finding those guys, that's going to be the diamonds in the rough because most of those guys are already running an up-tempo high school offense. So they're going to come right out, and if they want to keep doing that, they're going to have to go somewhere where they can. So I think the days of like the ball control, the Bo Ryan and Dick Bennett, that kind of basketball, I think you can do it, but you're going to be you're not going to be a major conference team to really do it. You're going to be a mid-major, somebody who's going to have to find those diamonds in the rough. I know we're going way back, but 30 years ago, those Dick Bennett, UW Green Bay teams that were able to find Tony Bennett, obviously, but like the Gary Greshes and Jeff Norgards of the world that were willing to run this, hey, we're only going to score 45 points, but we're going to hold the other team to 38 or something like that.
Right.
But to get that commitment this day and age, it's tough. So, it's a weird line you have to straddle between how much offense do I go for, how much do I commit in a player to, hey, we got to also be able to stop these guys. So it's not a world I would want to have anything into, like trying to navigate the D1.
You're almost, I don't know if this would be fully accurate, but it's almost like 18, 19, 20-year-olds are dictating what you can do as a coach.
Yeah. And I think that's why you've seen so many coaches get out. McDermott, another guy who's leaving.
Creighton just called it a career.
Yeah. So it's like that's why I think it's kind of almost like amazing that you still have like a Tom Izzo and Greg Guards still doing this because it's kind of become more of a younger man's game, and it's more of you have to run it like a pro team. So in a way, they've made that to be successful as they have. They've been able to adapt to it. It's just how much do you want to? It feels like it's such a grind now for these traditional coaches to try to do this.
Right.
So
you bring up Tom Izzo. I think that is something that kind of gets maybe a little overlooked. Is like you look at the sustained success that he has had and the age that he's at too. Because the Roy Williams is the Coach K's, Jay Wrights, Tony Bennett,
these
all
are good
getting out, and Izzo's still there, and he's still can to get done. But he's adapted quite a bit too, and he may not like it. I think he's been pretty vocal about the state of college basketball and such.
Probably maybe the most vocal of anybody.
Right. But still is finding – but again, that's like Michigan State basketball versus Wisconsin basketball. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Until Wisconsin somehow maybe wins a championship or gets a little bit more of that hike. And trying to convince – I think it boils down to as a kid, 16, 17 years old, I think if you just did a straight-up poll in Wisconsin – of basketball players, who would you rather play for? Just all things equal, who would you rather? A team like Duke is probably going to get the majority of votes.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the cool thing to do, right?
Right. They are that beacon that everybody sees.
Right.
It's funny, too, is like you kind of think about it. You have your Patinos and your Calipari's, but those guys were already playing with one-and-done teams before NIL, all that happened, you know? So they kind of are used to this shuffling in and out of guys. And even Duke, to a degree, with Coach K, was kind of similar to that. So it's kind of been something that their systems are used to.
Yep.
Whereas at Wisconsin, you were counting on, those guys playing for 4 years and being the cornerstone for your team. But now that world isn't there anymore.
Right.
So for some of these guys to change and adapt to it, it's such a shock to the system when you've just come from people that just want to be X's and O's. Well, you can't be. Like you said earlier, you have to be a salesman.
You do.
So I think that's what Guard has. I think
he's adapted really well. And before, what I think Wisconsin's still trying to figure out NIL stuff, and he went out on his own to, kind of do his own fundraising and try to get a lot of. I mean, he took initiative to do that, to go out there and do it. And looking overseas and recruiting international and such too, trying to find, instead of just trying to stay status quo, trying to figure out different ways to stay competitive or be competitive in this new age of college basketball.
Finding those grad guys that can come over, getting those transfer.
I mean, the last 2 years he's hit it. John Tonje and Nick Boyd, obviously hasn't translated into tournament success, but
yeah, it's just tough because then you're back to square one looking for trying to strike gold again. So that's where it becomes very difficult.
Because I think we would all agree too. So some of those older coaches that we've been mentioning don't think Bo Ryan could coach in this era and be successful.
I don't know if he would. No, and I think it was already taking a toll on him, and I think that's why he got out. I think that it
remember the whole Diamond Stone fiasco with him and such.
Oh yeah, and then I can't think of his name on the kid that went to Iowa.
Oh yeah.
It'll come to me when we're off. But
yep.
Yeah, you had that where he was like, "Oh, he's blocking me, so I can't play at this school," and like that kind of stuff. You could already tell was like grinding his gears.
Yep.
And then when everything the bottom fell out and everybody was able to do whatever they want.
Was it Bohannon?
Wasn't Bohannon?
No, because his brother
played
there. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. It's not Eula. It's something a harder name to pronounce. So again, and I'm sure somebody out there could text it to us.
They're probably yelling at us.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
now
But I mean, you already were dealing with that kind of stuff back then. So I think it just got to the point where once the bottom fell out, when it basically become the Wild West.
Right.
Why would you want to deal with it? And I think of Tony Bennett too, who had success, but these are guys I just remember from Jack and then Dick and then Tony. It's like these are guys who live and die on every play.
Utah. I just Googled it.
There you go, Utah. I was right. I knew it started with a U.
Yep.
Yeah. So you had that situation, but yeah, like with the Bennetts, like these are guys who like live and die on every play, and like I could see why Tony got out. Like you're adding the stress of those games, then you add the stress of everything else. It just gets to be too much. So it's a special breed now that's coaching that can balance and straddle that line.
Yeah. I mean, especially when Jay Wright called it a career, he was still fairly young from a coach's perspective too, in that too. So, yeah, man. All right. We got to take a quick break, and then we'll start to wrap up things. We'll be right back after these few words. All right, wrapping things up here. We only got about 6 minutes to the top of the hour. We do have a late Bucks game tonight. Just a dozen more of these things to go.
Hey,
so
look at them playing against Phoenix. No Giannis.
and but then they lose to the Jazz the game before that too. So
I can't figure that team out.
No,
I just don't. There's no rotation. They don't know what to do when Giannis is on the floor.
right?
Like, there's just no flow.
Nope, nothing.
I'm not quite writing him off, but man, you got to make a run here soon.
12 left. They're 7.5 back.
Yeah,
they'd almost have to win 12 in a row and still might need some help.
still might need help.
for
Yeah,
that
so it's
too,
pretty much writing him off,
but still,
it might be. I mean, go back to the debate. The writing might be on the wall here.
Mm-hmm. I do appreciate, if this is this was it last Friday? We were kind of talking about the article on ESPN, not written by Shams, but how Wes Edens kind of said he's either going to sign an extension or we trade him this offseason. And I think that's what you got to go.
Yeah.
At this point, give him hey, here's your max contract. This is our vision. This is our plan for the offseason. If he says no, then I think you got to trade him.
Yeah. You give him the option to come back.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be well compensated.
Mm-hmm.
No, not that he needs any money, but again, they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
give him the max contract. So is do you want to be here or do you want to be somewhere else? And I don't know, just body language wise, I have no idea what to think about what.
Yeah.
I would love to see. He just doesn't seem happy, but I don't know if that's so much with the team or if that's just some.
I mean, losing sucks to begin. And I think this is the one thing I would hope for Giannis, that he realizes too. I was hurt a lot this year. How much did that affect chemistry, play? I know, yes, when he was playing, they were still losing, but how much of it with all the new pieces in it did they just not have time to kind of gel or figure it out or so? I don't know.
Was this a Band-Aid year? Can they go out and do something different next year and maybe get some pieces? Again, they're kind of in a tough spot still.
And and I always look at it, I'm like, the Warriors are in the 10th place in the Western Conference, and you don't hear anything about Steph Curry or
because it's you can't imagine Steph being anywhere else.
Right.
Well, I feel like I don't know why Giannis has always been like, well, he's got to go somewhere. Because I guess Golden State's a bigger market, where Milwaukee's a smaller market, and people don't imagine people staying in smaller markets the whole time.
And it was always like, Golden State wasn't Golden State forever.
After the Chris Mullin era, there was not a whole lot of good. There was the 1 year that they won, they knocked off, I think, it wasn't the Lakers, somebody in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
We were just looking that up for something, 2008 or something, where Baron Davis was. But other than that, those teams were bad.
You're talking about the PJ Carlissimo, Latrell Sprewell issues.
That team was not anything for a good 15, 20 years.
No.
So, the Bucks at least were something before that. At least you had the big three for a while there. So,
because I'm sorry, but when I think about California basketball teams, the Warriors for the longest time were not at the top.
The Warriors and Kings.
Yeah.
They're right there for a long time. Even the Kings, though, they had the Chris Webber.
Vlade Divac era. It was probably even, Clippers were the little brother to the Lakers, and they weren't that great under the Donald Sterling era.
Yeah. They were the worst franchise for a long time in basketball. So.
Right.
Yeah, the fact that the Bucks are in a downtrend right now doesn't mean it can't turn around.
Right.
So.
Right. And that's just one of the things it bugs me about sports, especially baseball too. After you sign a big free agent, then they could trade them right away. We're going to make all these moves in the free agency, and we get the halfway mark, and nope, we're going to trade everybody now and try again next year.
Try again, yeah. It's like Twins.
Right.
If there's a team that has sold more at the All-Star break than the Twins in the last decade, I'd like to see it.
Yep. So, all right, just 2 minutes left then. So, really quick, Brewers prediction here. Playoffs?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think they're going to battle. I think they could be just as good, if not, I would love to see them be better than last year, but I think they can be just as good. It's just that pitching will be the big issue, but I have faith in that front office.
All right. Hey, I don't know if you know about this. I just saw this. You probably do because it's golf related. New ESPN original series, Where It Lies. Have you heard about this?
No.
Premieres Monday, April 6th. A 4-part series takes viewers inside the eclectic world of public golf, introducing the vibrant characters and quirkily beloved courses that are central to the game's DNA. Hey, that's up your alley.
I love that. We've got 2 minutes here, but yeah, that's one of those things especially at public courses, I don't want to see the public get priced out of the game. And it's getting tough.
Mm-hmm.
So I love, like, the public courses are where I love. I've honed my craft, which calling it that is kind of an insult to any crafts out there. But yeah, that sounds like that'll be a lot of fun to see.
Yeah.
You know, that's going out there and you just meet characters when you're out there on the course. So it's be neat to see this.
Exactly. All right, dude. Well, you have a good weekend. Catch your breath from basketball and all that fun stuff, right? So
yeah, it's kind of that. It's not much of a lull because we already got indoor track and some softball. So
right. Well, we appreciate it, buddy. All right, that's gonna do it for us. Have a fantastic rest of your Monday. Same place, same time tomorrow morning. We'll chat with you then.